Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Ethan Collier, and I'll be chairing today's meeting of the Chattanooga-Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission. A couple things to go over before we get started. I do this every month, so for those of you who come every month, I apologize. You've heard all of this before. Maybe I'll add some new stuff. Planning Commission's received this packet in the mail a little over a week ago, and commissioners have had the opportunity to review it in advance of today's meeting. So at times during the meeting, because of the fact that we're all familiar with what's in this document and the staff presentations that would be seen, there are times during the meeting where we move really quickly. So if you're new to Planning Commission, make sure to have a copy of the agenda in front of you and follow along closely. What I'll do is I'll read off the case number that we have, and then I'll read off the address. Pretty much what you see on the agenda, I will read. In each of those, after I read it off, what I'll do is I'll ask if there's any opposition present. My goal in asking that question is to really get a feel for who wants to speak. So most often, if there's opposition in the room, I'd ask that you raise your hand at that point, because I need to be able to see that there's somebody here that wants to speak in regards to the case. You may not think of yourself as opposition. You may just have a question or a concern that you want to voice. Either way, you're welcome to raise your hand. We want to hear from you. So make sure when I ask if there's any opposition present, raise your hand if you want to speak. I'll then ask if the applicant's present. The applicants are mostly familiar with it. They raise their hand right then. And then if we have opposition to a case, we will normally, almost always, hear the entire staff presentation in regards to that case. Then the applicant will come up to the microphone. Everybody who's speaking to the dais will be at this podium here. Make sure the red light's on so that we can hear you speak. State your name and address for the record. The applicant will kick us off. They'll have 7 minutes to present the reason for their request. Then they'll take a seat. Anybody who's here in opposition that wants to speak in regards to the case is welcome to line up on the right side of the room here behind the podium. And it's really helpful if you get out of your chair and you line up on that side of the room, because then I can see that there's maybe 5 people that want to speak. The total time allotted to opposition is only 9 minutes, and we do stick to that very strictly. And so from time to time, I'll have to interrupt people and let them know that there's a number of people standing behind them that also want to speak. It's most helpful for Planning Commission if, while you're making your comments, if you've stood there and you listened to some of the other opposition, you've already heard some concerns expressed in regards to traffic and or stormwater or one of a number of other issues, please maybe bring some new information to the Planning Commission. So a lot of times opposition will show up with pre-prepared notes or comments that they have. Edit those comments appropriately after you see A, how many people want to speak, and B, after you've heard the other comments that have already been made. So with that, we'll jump into the agenda. I do have one other thing I wanted to cover. I think it's really important that everybody here understand exactly what our job here to do today is. And I think our applicants, they understand the process, but I think a lot of times citizens at large are maybe not as familiar with the process. So what has happened prior to today is a number of applicants have applied for various things from the planning department in Hamilton County or the city of Chattanooga. They've made those applications to the regional planning agency. The regional planning agency is a staff of how many, Brian?
Roughly about 30.
Okay, so there's 30 people on staff who are responsible for the work that's happening in our county and in our city in regards to planning. That application goes to the planning agency. They review that application to find whether or not it's compliant with A, the subdivision regulations. So on all our preliminary plats, what we're doing is we are confirming that either A, it is compliant with the subdivision regulations that we have in place and or it's not. It's really simple. It's either an up or a down from this body. It comes with a recommendation from the planning agency. In regards to all the rezonings that we'll take action on today, the staff has reviewed the applicant's request. They're making a recommendation to this body based on what probably, I can't imagine the number of years of training that's made up by those, 30 employees you said?
Yeah, 30 overall, and within my department, it's actually probably just, right now, Emily and Trina reviewing majority of the staff reports and subdivision plats, but they've had 15 plus years of experience doing
And
this.
what are you looking at specifically with that applicant's request?
In terms of subdivision plats, does it meet the requirements of the subregs that are adopted by this body as the minimum standards? If they meet it, we have no choice but to recommend approval.
That's right. And then
Zoning cases, we're looking at land use plans. Does it have a negative impact on adjacent property owners? We have current land use plans, and if so, if they're owed, if things changed since that plan was adopted. And from that, they go out and look at the site, see what's around it, see the use, does it fit within that zone? At that point, we have not talked to the public. That's the purpose of this meeting, is to gather that public input. So with that, what we see, we come up with a recommendation to this body. And then the process is the public shows up and either speaks in support or in opposition, and this body ultimately makes a recommendation based on what you all have heard from staff and the public, and ultimately goes on to the city council or county commission for final authority on zoning cases. Plats rest with this body under state law.
Yeah, you beat me to the punch, which is we then do make a recommendation to city council or county commission to approve or deny an applicant's request. And so if you're here in opposition, it's important to understand that full process, that this application's been made to the RPA. It then comes here where public for the first time has the opportunity to comment on the request. We as planning commission members certainly hear the public. We hear it every month. That's what we're here for. But, planning commission is a non-elected body. They're all volunteers, except for a couple of us that are elected or appointed by city council by the mayor's offices. But the job of planning commission is really to give a different level of consideration to it. We're not planners, but we are industry professionals for the most part and have a good working knowledge of the codes, rules, ordinances that are all in place and how practical or impractical these changes are. So it's really an opportunity for the public to first be heard, and then also to kind of get maybe a slightly different opinion than what you would get from the planning agency. Did you have something to add to that?
I was going to say, building on that too, we require site plans, if you will, for zoning cases. We in our office call them conceptual plans, because we're not doing a full-blown engineering review of that site plan to make sure it meets all codes of the city or county, because we're not codes folks. So the site plans are just a rendering of what could potentially go there. And I think sometimes the public sees those and wants to talk about traffic. This body has no authority over traffic or stormwater. Separate bodies in the city and county have separate rules. We're just looking at the zoning. Does that zone make sense at that location and the uses within that zone? Site plans are helpful for us to come up with conditions that this body can place on cases, but we're not looking at that site plan that it's going to look exactly like that when it gets developed.
And then last but not least, we make a recommendation to city council and county commission where final action's taken on all our zoning cases. So with that, I'll jump into the agenda. Is there anything anybody wanted to add? Mr. Payne?
Yeah, just going to say this is kind of just because of the times we're in, but I think I'm the longest serving planning commissioner. Claude Ramsey put me on. So been a long time ago. And what he asked me to do and what he told me to do and told me the charge was to advocate for home ownership. And that's what I believe my job is to do. And I believe that our town, our county is better served by having homeowners where possible. I think and I think Chris told me something a minute ago that for the first time, the city of Chattanooga has more renters than buyers or homeowners, which is a terrible indictment in my mind. And it's why the way I look at cases primarily is because I think that every young person deserves a chance to buy a home, because I think it's more than just the home. I think it's about having an opportunity to begin wealth building. I think it's how you raise your family. I think it's 90% of the time when this room is full of people that are concerned about things going on in their neighborhood, it's homeowners, because that's how you buy into the community. That's how you buy into the neighborhood. And so the idea is to have more homeowners, not less, and not try to lock out people that have been challenged. And for me, that's what I'm going to keep doing. And if that's a problem, then I can go away and that's no problem. Thank you.
We don't think that's a problem. Thank you, Barry. All right, anybody else? All right, I'll jump into the agenda. First item on our agenda under old business is HCSD-25-24. This is a preliminary plat for Dallas Station subdivision lots 1 through 54 and community lots 900 and 902. It's located at 7618 Middle Valley Road, and staff is recommended to approve with conditions. Is there any opposition present? And is the applicant present? And you're familiar with the conditions? Thank you. What's the will of the commission? Second. We have a motion to approve the staff recommendation. It has been properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda, and the first item under new business, is a final plat. It's HCSD-25-35, and it's Edgestone subdivision lots 81 through 96. And staff is recommended to approve. Is there any opposition present? We have a motion to approve the staff recommendation. It has been properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 2 under new business, HCSD-25-36 is a preliminary plat for Lake Breeze subdivision lots 1 through 137 through 166 and 103 located at 29 Birchwood Pike. Staff is recommended to defer. Is the applicant present?
Mr. Chairman, we have, since the staff report was put together, the applicant had made some changes to the cul-de-sac and widths. That has been since corrected, and so we recommend to approve.
Okay, we have a staff recommendation now to approve. Is there any opposition present? We have a motion to approve and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And item 3 is HCSD-25-37. This is a final plat for the farms at Creekside subdivision, lots 62 through 92, 103 and 900 through 901. And it's located at 0 Mayfly Road. Is there any opposition present? We have a motion to approve and it has been properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda, item 4 is HCVD-25-5. This is a variance for Awanessa subdivision. It's been withdrawn. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay.
The variance for this section, you'll see this again in a few minutes. This plat's in the city of Chattanooga as well as the county. They're asking for 2 variances, but this part is in the county. They're no longer asking for that variance in the county portion.
We have a motion to withdraw and it has been properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 is HCSD-25-38. This is a preliminary plat for Awanessa subdivision lots 1 through 3 located at 5251 Mountain Creek Road. And staff is recommended to approve with conditions. Is there any opposition present? Could you raise your hand if you're here in opposition? Okay, thank you. And Mrs. Shepherd, you're the applicant. Okay.
Okay.
So normally we would hear from Brian first in this case, but did you want to say something before we hear from him?
What I wanted to say was we had applied for a preliminary and final plat because it is less than 9 lots. The land disturbance permits have been applied for and it is in response to a violation. So they're getting everything in order. The 2 lots that we have will be in the city. And then there's a public road the cul-de-sac that you see and the remaining 113 acres is a future phase. And so that would be submitted when we get ready to develop that. So I don't see any reason not to do preliminary and final plat now. The final plat will not be recorded until the roads are constructed. We receive the LDP, the road's constructed, it's accepted by utilities and EDLACOMP or the county's counterpart, and then we will apply for the recorded final plat. So we're asking for preliminary and final.
Do you have applications for both? Okay.
It's just one application and you check box that both of them.
Okay. All right. Mr. Schultz.
Sure, there's really not much to say on this. It's just a right-of-way plat with three lots on it. It's very unusual. This thing had been clear cutted, I guess, a couple years ago without any permits from the county in terms of land disturbing permits. I think they're just trying to bring it up to speed and get it compliant. Typically, we don't approve the final plat until after land disturbing permits have been granted. This is unusual, and it's just a right-of-way with 2 community lots. So it meets the standards of the subdivision plats requirements.
Okay, but I guess where I'm confused is maybe I'm the only one that's confused. The applicant's asking for preliminary and final,
That's correct.
but we only have on our agenda the preliminary.
Yes, I think we looked at it because we don't approve the final plat until after land disturbing permits have been granted. I think now she's asking for,
Is there a reason why?
just the way the regs have been written, because we have some people in the past who would do land disturbing permits and then come to do plats, and oftentimes that changes. We had the same discussion, I guess, about 3 years ago on the order of that. Went through the whole presentation, how most places do it. We're in line with everybody else. And this part, what you're approving on this part would be just the part in the county where that cul-de-sac is.
Okay.
This is very limited. You can't really move it. It's pretty hard set where it's going to be. We've submitted for LDP already. It's in review.
Okay.
Is there a hardship if we do it the typical way? I mean, I guess why are we doing it different this time is my question.
I actually have filed for a preliminary and final plat for a subdivision in the city of Chattanooga that was less than 10 lots. And we had a new road on it. It had 8 houses on it. And so it kind of short circuited having to come back for a final plat before this body. And then, like I said before, we would apply for final plat to RPA to be recorded once everything was constructed and acceptable to the city and the county.
I've got a question
Mr.
for
General.
Brian. What's the risk of us approving a final plat? I mean, I know they've got to, if they're disturbing more than an acre, they've got to have a land disturbance permit through the
Right.
county anyway. And I guess if this were to change drastically, they just have to get a new, they just
Come
have to
back to it.
replat.
In this case, it's not really a concern as much since it's actually not being lots created for sale.
Yeah.
I mean, they're labeled community lots. That doesn't mean somebody can come in and all of a sudden put lots on them and do staff level along that whole road. But again, it's a right-of-way plat, basically.
We're going up the side of a hill, and so these 2 community lots are sloped. There's nowhere to put a house, so there will, and you can even condition, and I think that's what we put on the application, no houses on lot 1 or 2.
Ma'am? Yes. Yeah, come on up.
Hello, can y'all hear me? My name's Deborah Falls. I live at 5303 Mountain Creek Road. And I had submitted an email. I'm not going to read all of it, but it was about the subdivision that's going in. I first wanted to say, though, the current road, Mountain Creek Road, that section of it does not support the addition of a subdivision. And I have brought photos I would like to go look at after this. I've just put, my concern is that there's even a subdivision proposal being considered for this section of Mountain Creek Road. Has anyone traveled the north section lately? Mountain Creek Road is barely more than 1 lane where we live. Potholes everywhere and large sections of pavement missing on the edges. The 90-degree curve, which is my driveway, has many people that miss the driveway, they get stuck. There's big trucks that get stuck all the time. We can't get out our driveway. This road is not safe enough to be adding more traffic. I'd also like to add, is the beauty of the Chattanooga area and preserving our mountain wildscapes important to the commission? If so, please deny this entire subdivision proposal. Thank you. And I would like to show, can I submit pictures? Is that possible?
Yes.
So just, I can kind of explain them. They go in order. This is Mountain Creek Road. As you enter it, it immediately tells you road narrows. And it does. And
Can you step back in front of the podium so that everybody can hear you?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is getting off at Highway 27, Mountain Creek Road exit.
Ma'am,
This is
can you address us?
a little over 1/10 of the mile from the exit going south on Mountain Creek Road. And you'll see the road narrows sign. This is what you'll immediately see after all this paving, all these potholes. This is the first curve you encounter with a big dip, and everybody in this curve comes on this side of the road. Just miss the dip. It's very dangerous, and they go too fast on the road. Close up of the pavement falling off the side of the road. This is the worst section. It's gone on both sides. You can only travel one lane right here. You have to wait for cars to pass. This is my driveway. This is the 90-degree curve where everybody gets stuck. And it's immediately before the entry to the new proposed subdivision. I'd say that's maybe 80 feet from my driveway. All these go in order of the way the road is. There's nothing out of order. This is immediately after the subdivision entrance with the blind hill. And once you top that hill, the fun really begins. You have this. And this. And then the one-lane bridge. And then the ditch that keeps washing away, and they're throwing, I don't know, concrete or something in there. If you go at night, it looks like that's the road. And I'm surprised there hadn't been more people run off into this ditch. And this is the end where the road is completely falling in. And again, this begins about half a mile before the subdivision entry and half a mile after these pictures. And that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And can I just give these to someone?
To address some of our comments, for the full road section on Mountain Creek Road, which would be, I can't tell if that's lot 1 or 2. It's on the south portion of your page. We are making up whatever width we need on our side of the road. We're actually adding curb and gutter. The side slope right there as you go up is actually almost a sheer slope. We're laying it back. We're actually adding street trees along there with a 4% slope to make improvements on our whole frontage on Mountain Creek Road. If she lives next door where that curve is, we're actually making improvements to the driveway, and we're picking up stormwater and carrying it past so that there's not any stormwater collecting there. So we're taking care of our stormwater runoff on the parcel, and then also making improvements to the frontage.
Thank you, Donna. Any questions for the applicant?
Very, very briefly, I think she made a reasonable case for herself, but I'm concerned about setting a precedent for doing a final plot. That's.
Ma'am, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I live on Mountain Creek as well. We're at 5200.
Can you state your name and address
My
for
name
the
is
record?
Cheryl Moeller, 5200 Mountain Creek Road. We're right at the end of all of your electrical system, all of your waters, everything that's coming down. We're right on the corner. So I'm very selfishly concerned what's going to happen to my property. I saw them doing some site planning. It seemed to cut across, right across my front yard, which I don't have a large front yard. So I'm really concerned what's going to happen in that corner area that she has pictures for you for. It's really adding at least 100 cars. We're never going to be able to get out. The water drainage that's coming off of that road, I know they're doing some things, and people are going up there during night, and I can hear them doing some things and working. But we're just very concerned what's going to happen to our little corner of the road. I know they're putting curbs in. It was very difficult to read, but again, I don't know what's going to happen to my front yard. And again, all of the power ends there. The water is on my side of the road. I was told they're going to have to draw it up. I don't even know if my end of the street's going to be usable for a while. So those are my concerns.
Okay, thank you. Donna, we just went out of order there. Can you address those? Yep.
Everything I've said is the same. The road that's cut in now, I think it's a little bit different just because they were just making a curb cut and winding up through there. So everything will be corrected on the final. We're meeting all of the city regulations for site distance and for slope on the road. We're picking up stormwater.
And you're not working on any adjacent properties?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you. All right, in regards to the request for the preliminary plat here, item 5 on our agenda, we have a staff recommendation to approve with conditions. What's the will of the commission?
Could you repeat the conditions, please?
See. Coordinate at least one groundwater protection. These septic tanks reviewed in future law area 3 that has to be reviewed by groundwater protection, and show a cross slope grade in compliance with Hamilton County subregs, showing a 3% maximum slope in the cul-de-sac. Those have to be done anyway. It's not really, they're conditions, but they're not like a zoning condition.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Mr. Manning.
just wanted to ask one question for the applicant real quick, and I think you hit on it, but I wanted to make sure I understood this correct. You will not be doing any work on anybody else's private property. Is that accurate?
No.
Okay.
Everything will either be in the right of way or on our parcel.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to approve the staff recommendation. I do think this meets the subdivision regulations. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, is that preliminary and final or just preliminary?
That would be both.
So a motion to approve the preliminary and final plats with condition. And it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next case on the agenda, item 6, it's HCSD-25-39. And this is lots 1 through 44 located on Gray Reed Drive, and staff is recommended to approve. Is there any opposition present? What's the will of the commission?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Second. And it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Noted. Thank you. Next case on the agenda is HCDV-25-4. And this is a variance for Macaulay Ferry subdivision, lots 1 through 40, located at 1889 Macaulay Ferry Road, and staff is recommended to approve with conditions. Is there any opposition present? Is it just these two gentlemen? Is there anybody else in opposition? Okay. And you're the applicant, Mr. Schultz?
Yes, this is a variance that you do not have a subdivision plat in front of you today. This is for a variance for a future subdivision. The applicant is requesting to not build a road, a county road to county construction standards. They want to reduce the pavement width from 26 feet to 20 feet and to allow shoulders and ditches instead of curb and gutter. This is the reason for this is there's over 200 lots in this subdivision, potentially based on current zoning. They're only constructing 40 large lots that are 5 acres plus, which doesn't warrant a standard wider road section. And along the fire hydrants, they will widen the road to 26 feet in width. So the applicant's requesting a variance to the county standards for a road. Fire marshals reviewed this as well as other departments in the county and recommend approve. We have recommended approval of a similar subdivision many years ago off Roberts Mill. There was a very similar situation, 5 acre tracts. It didn't make sense to have curb and gutter and do a rural type setting, if you will. So staff recommended to approve this variance.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Any questions? Mr.
Brian,
Genoway?
I believe, and maybe the applicant could clarify, but this has been before, I think, the Construction Appeals Board. I'm just curious why we have to review this.
Because it's in the subregs. Your street pavement width is in the subregs,
Okay.
where it calls curb and gutter. Yeah, he's right. He's been through the Construction Board of Appeals, but it's also in our subregs too.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer.
That's a little confusing, I think. I'm not sure. So I guess we went to the Construction Board of Appeals to satisfy the fire marshal.
Mr. Farmer, address the planning
Yes.
commission.
I'm sorry. I have a question for staff. Is that,
Ask it to us.
I'll leave it alone, but I'm just confused on the two-stop variance process. That's new. I thought when we met the Construction Board of Appeals variance that we were satisfied. So this is fine. But I do want to clear up what condition you're going to be voting on, because when I read the staff report, it's unclear. I see an additional comment about design utility easements and a 10-foot power and communications easement. But I've read a bunch of staff reports in my life. I'm curious of what your condition is.
There is no condition. I think it's just a carryover. There is no condition.
Okay.
On this
Your
variance.
recommendation is approved with
It's
conditions.
approved. And I can clarify real quick. RPA staff has no authority over the fire marshal. Fire marshal has certain codes they adopt. And that's why you went to the Construction Board of Appeals. It's a fire code, but that fire code is also in our subreg, so it's a two-step
Okay.
process. That's sort of why you went there.
Okay. So you're voting to approve with no conditions.
Well, that's what's recommended is approve.
Okay.
And it's a error that it says with
Okay.
condition.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, if you'd like to speak.
Yes, my name's Kenneth Wayne Elrod. My family owns, if you're looking at the plat, you have this same copy I've got, starting on Lee Pike by the marina where the lake is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracts of property, and then the farm that is adjacent to all this property that's for sale. There's 166 acres. My concern is, what are they doing with it? We've had it for over 40 years in our family. I'm really concerned about what kind of stipulations is going to be put on that, as far as, I know it says on here 40 tracts in here, but is that going to be able to be subdivided? They're wanting to go 20-foot roads instead of 26, or what else is down the road is all I'm concerned with, is what's going to happen in the future. And I do run cattle on the farm. So, if you're going to put a subdivision, don't be complaining about my cows keeping you up. And I do shoot some firearms over there. So there's some shooting going on sometimes. So that's all my concern is.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thomas Jeffrey Hyde, 1679 Mayflower Road. Like I said, neighbor to the farm right there, got 20 acres right there. My biggest thing is the code's usually the minimum. Anytime we get away from the minimum, it's not the best way to do things. If you guys are involved in construction, it's just the minimum. Like I said, we go from 26 foot to 20 foot and no gutters to control the water. Most of ours is on the lower end of that. So where does that water go when it hits the ditch with no control? That's my biggest thing. I didn't want it to come back here in 2 or 3 years and start a legal process to figure out how to get, a pond off my property that wasn't there before. And so again, lack of information to us about what was going to go happen and how it's going to run. So again, only information I had so far was we're going to drop below the minimum and shrink the roads down. My question was why? If we start making concessions here, we make concessions later, why are we dropping below the minimum? So that's pretty much mine. Of course, do I want a subdivision there? It's Bakewell. Nobody ever wants a subdivision. But the bottom line is, it's probably coming, it's probably gonna happen. I just want to do it right. You know, the last thing I want to do is have a nice place and then all of a sudden have a fight, and then I'm back down here seeing you guys for the next 4 or 5 years. You know, I spend enough time downtown already working. That's pretty much it for me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, could I add a little bit of context
Yes.
before Mr. Farmer comes back
Yeah,
up?
Mr. Farmer, head back up.
So a couple things to address some of your concerns. Mr. Farmer met with county staff. He also met with your Commissioner Gino Shipley on this property. He could build as many as 2 houses per acre on that piece of property the way it's zoned right now. His desire is to build larger lot subdivision, I think 5-acre tracts, and he may speak to that. Obviously, that kind of vision fits better with the community than 2 houses an acre. And so what we were trying to do from a county staff level was make this subdivision as low impact as possible. The smaller the roads are, the less runoff you have because there's less impervious area that catches water. He will still have to go through all of the regular land disturbance permit process. He'll have to account for every bit of water that he's displacing. But shrinking the road down to a smaller size actually prevents more runoff from happening. And so that was some of the justification for that. Also, I believe he intends this to be a private road. That keeps it off of the county's maintenance schedule. So your tax dollars won't have to go to pay for the road. So that's another win for the community.
Mr. Farmer?
And what he said, yeah, all of those things, we've worked with Mr. Janaway and Mr. Lehman, fire marshal and water quality. We will go through all of those steps. It will be a private road. It will be noted as a private road on our plat. We really feel like this is solid development and the kind of thing that people want in these rural areas. I'll meet with these gentlemen outside and let them know what our plans here are. But these are all 5-acre lots on a private road with minimal impact in a rural area of the county.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer.
I would say one thing, just particularly out in the outer parts of the county, I want you to leave thinking this is a concession. This is preferable in a lot of terms. It slows traffic down, particularly in the rural areas, and the ditches and how you control water. A lot of the environmental regulations prefer the water to be in ditches like this because it disperses in the ground before it hits your property. It's preferable in many instances, and probably in this one, I would say for sure.
Yes.
As far as the livestock's concerned, I'm sure you're A1, you're agriculture, you're probably green space. You've been there first, brother. You keep those cattle coming.
Our biggest issue was we didn't have our neighbors, other than the piece of paper you sent, we have no information about anything, what was going to happen. You know, it's a big piece of property. It's going to get sold sometime, but it's now's the time to make a point and ask a question versus at the end of it.
Yeah, sounds like Mr. Farmer's willing to address those questions you've got. In regards to case HCDV-25-4, what's the will of the commission? We got a motion to approve. It has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next case on our agenda, item A, is SDP-25-25. This is a preliminary plat for Wilkes View subdivision lots 1 through 12, located at 4200 Willard Drive, and staff is recommended to approve with conditions. Is there any opposition present? Is the applicant present? And you're familiar with the conditions? And good with them? What's the will of the commission? We have a motion to approve, and it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next case is item 9 on our agenda. It's SPV-25-1. It's a variance on Awanessa subdivision, lots 1 through 3, located at 5251 Mountain Creek Road. Staff is recommended to approve. Is there any opposition present? Ma'am, if you'd like to speak, we're good to hear from you. Did you say it's the same thing? I hear you.
And this part is actually in the part that's in the city. And this is a variance to not have sidewalks on that road.
Which probably in light of the pictures that we've seen and the feedback we got from the community probably makes a lot of sense. We have a motion to approve. It has been seconded. Any discussion? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When you say that road,
The new road being constructed.
not Mountain Creek Road.
No, they're not putting on Mountain Creek Road or into the new street that's being constructed.
Thank you.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Next case on our agenda is item 10. It's SDP-25-27. It's preliminary plat for Onassa subdivision lots 1 through 3, located at 5251 Mountain Creek Road, and staff is recommended to approve with conditions. We've heard from opposition. Is there any questions for the applicant? And maybe you want to speak to the conditions?
I don't know what the conditions are. This is also preliminary and final.
Well, it's just preliminary that's on our agenda.
She's asked for the same thing.
Oh, you're asking for preliminary and final?
We actually filed for preliminary and final
Okay.
for both of them. I don't know of conditions on the city.
We
part.
say conditions. This is not like a zoning conditions. These are just conditions that they have to make changes on the plat. There's a whole list of things that need to be shown in the plat.
Okay, I think that we addressed those when we turned in our revised plat after we got the city comments.
Okay. What's the will of the commission?
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. And it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Schultz, I do have a question for you on this one. Earlier, we saw some pictures from some neighbors just in regards to the condition of the road. And, I understand this meets the subdivision regulations, which is why it would get approved, because it does meet the subdivision regulations. How does the RPA make a decision in regards to a preliminary plat in regards to the specifics of the road leading up to the subject property? So, I mean, assuming it's we saw some pictures where it clearly, the road is not maybe up to current city standards. And we, of course, approve projects all the time where they're not up to city standards. But then recently, we've gotten some staff recommendation to deny on account of that in the county in particular. And so I'm just curious how
That's a
you
good
guys
question.
give consideration to
We're
that.
still trying to figure that out as well. There's a difference of thought that if the plat meets the requirements of what's being developed within that site, you have no choice but to approve it. But the question is, what do you do to the infrastructure, the roads getting up to that? It doesn't meet any standard. I think it's very tricky because state law and federal law says you could be a taking of somebody's property. You have to be very careful what you require, off-site improvements, you call them. What's been handled in the past, the way it's been done is the developer agrees to fix things that are in front of the property they own. I think the one you're talking about, maybe coming back in a couple months, is very tricky. And we're still trying to wrap our head around that, about how much we can do as a body through the planning commission and staff for off-site improvements and making a developer at their own expense fix a lot of that. So I don't have a good answer for
Under
that.
state law, to be clear, under state law, the planning commission and the planning agency and the county commission, city council cannot require off-site improvements. Is that
I think
correct?
you can, but you have to be very careful what that is. They call it, I think it's a rational connection. There's been a lot of federal court cases over this over the years where communities have required developers to do off-site improvements that sometimes go above and beyond what that improvement is. It's not clear. We reached out to several different people about attorneys and what that is. Maybe it's something Andrew can, I don't want to put him on the spot. I'm not an attorney, but it is very touched on that. It's called the Nolan and Dolan test, very legalese, where you have to, you can't make somebody widen the road for 5 miles. Can you make them do it what they own? That's probably reasonable. But going 5 miles out, I don't know.
Mr. Chair, we've talked about this over the years. But we can do some continuing ed training in the next month or two and ask someone to come in and specifically address that.
That'd be great.
It's tough.
All right.
Was preliminary and final.
That's a good question. Who made the motion? Did you make a motion for preliminary and final?
Thank you.
Who seconded that? Okay. Thank you. Next case on our agenda, item 11, is SDP -25 we did. -28, it's preliminary plat for McCall Hill Court subdivision lots 1 through 104, located at 5425 McCall Court, and staff is recommended to approve with conditions. Is there any opposition present? Is the applicant present?
Move to approve McKay Hill.
Sorry. You got me on that last time, right?
I did.
Sorry, I didn't grow up in Red Bank.
Not everybody's as lucky as some of us.
Sorry, and my vision is failing on account of the fact that I'm getting old.
Yes.
We have a motion to approve the staff recommendation with, obviously with conditions, and it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. No, I appreciate all the help I can get. All right. We're now under new business, and the first item under new business is mandatory referral. That's 2025-0114. And this is for part of a block of Rose Circle, and the applicant's applying to for a right-of-way closure and abandonment. Staff is recommended to deny the applicant's request and approve other. Is there any opposition present? You're
Sure.
here.
We did receive an email in opposition to this case.
Okay. And you're here in opposition? Okay.
We can go through it. I think it makes
Okay.
sense.
Mr. Schultz?
Sure. This is a request to abandon a right-of-way, a Rose Circle in Lookout Valley. See on the screen, everything in red is what the applicant is requesting to be abandoned. It's unopened now. So that's the request. You see multiple zones of this location, primarily RN3 and RN2. Here's the aerial view, all these existing lots. You see it's vacant land. There are some single unit residential on Hemlock Circle. But as far as Rose Circle goes, there's nothing when you get through here. There are some steep topography on this side as well. Here's a view of Rose Circle. You can see it's the right of ways here, but there's nothing there. I think this is the property owner who's actually went and cut in a driveway to this property. Another view of Rose Circle. Here's the site plan that's submitted by the applicant. You can see the closing Rose Circle and these little red marks putting in a gate to close it off. Staff recommended to deny the applicant's request entirely to close the entire thing, but recommend to approve differently, which would be not to close the entire right-of-way. This request does not meet the City of Chattanooga right-of-way closure and abandonment policy because it will landlock a piece of property not owned by the applicant, which I think is Mr. Collins, who spoke in the back. So staff recommends denying the applicant's request and approving a portion of the right-of-way to allow legal access to tax map 154 GB10. And I have a map in a minute to show you what that looks like. Staff also recommends a condition as part of the approval to prevent landlocking additional properties, to provide safe turnarounds for fire and EMS at the end of Rose Circle where it abuts this property. So again, staff recommends to deny the applicant's request, but abandon a partial abandonment of this right-of-way subject to two conditions. Subject to submitting and recording of a plat to consolidate all lots owned by the applicant and preventing the creation of landlocked properties, and construct and dedicate right-of-way for a permanent turnaround at the end of Rose Circle as part of the subdivision plat process. So this is the current Rose Circle, goes all the way up from the black to the sort of a light blue. You can see the May family, which is the applicant, who owns pretty much everything around this property, abutting the property, except two properties. There's one right here that's owned by Frank Collins. And then Mr. May, the applicant, owns one, and this RN175, that's actually owned by the City of Chattanooga. I think the applicant has reached out to the City of Chattanooga about surplusing that property, and I think the city is willing to do that, but it takes about a year before that to happen. So because of that property and this property owned by Mr. Collins, staff is recommending again to deny the entire request, but abandon this part. And then once, if the applicant purchases the property of Mr. Collins and the city of Chattanooga, come back at that point and apply to abandon the rest of it.
Thank you. Mr. May,
Are there any questions?
are there any questions?
Yes, sir. I have, Frank and I have talked too about swapping lots so that we could obtain that possibly, and we're working toward a resolution there. So I'll probably have to come back in the future and file to abandon the rest of it if I'm able to obtain that lot owned by the city in the surplus sale next July.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
But I do have a question. So you're recommending the construction of a turnaround for EMS and fire vehicles at the end of Rose Circle where the pavement ends abruptly? Is that the case?
Yes.
And that would be at our expense or the county's expense or the city's expense or?
Yours.
Okay, so what about the portion of Rose Circle that's caved? There's it's precipitous decline right there to the lot that goes down to Cummings Highway. And 4 feet of the roadway has washed out, which is the reason EMS won't go up Rose Circle. There's only 2 residences up Rose Circle. Presently, we own the entire left side right there where the arrow is. Yeah. And it says Tubbs. Those 2 lots right below Tubbs, those are the only 2 residences. Neither, no service vehicles will pass that compromised part of the roadway from my understanding.
Yeah, the conditions placed on this would not be for you to make any improvements to that road other than a turnaround. But I guess you're trying to make the point that the turnaround is never emergency.
It's not used now.
Because of
So in order for it to serve a purpose, the road would have to be
repaired.
repaired.
Yeah. We hear you.
Yeah, and that would be amenable to us. So that's it.
Thank you. Sir, did you want to say anything on the record? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just want to get clarification. Brian, can you show exactly where the turnaround has to go?
There's 2 of them, right?
There'll be 2 of them. There's really not, I don't, working with our transportation department, they'll have to figure that out, but I think they're thinking on where it's closed right here.
I guess I'm just worried if he closes part of it now and has to construct a turnaround that then is going to get it abandoned here in 6 months. That seems really silly.
Well, I don't think he's going to construct them. He's going to have to replat. I mean, I think, I'm not him, but I'm guessing he would replat based on what you said earlier, Mr. Schultz.
Yes.
And when he does, he'll record the right of way for the construction of that. But the road would not officially be closed until those were constructed.
Especially this one to the south. I mean, they're going to be there no matter what. If he comes in and gets the rest of it, he'll have to put one up here as well.
Yeah, I guess I was
think-
worried that if he had to construct one now, knowing where it's being abandoned, and then that turnaround is going to get abandoned later anyway, what's the point in constructing it?
They'll make the one to the south, be my guess.
Okay.
This one only. He'll have to work with the transportation department on this next one. They could do a temporary until such time he comes back through, just be gravel.
Okay.
I guess to Mr. Genway's point, the condition is that the turnarounds be built. But if this were going to a private residence and the road ended in a driveway and it wasn't gated, they wouldn't have to be built. What's triggering the required turnaround is the fact that he's gating it.
I don't want to speak for transportation. I don't know if they're here. The other ones come up with the condition, but I don't know if it's gated or not. It shouldn't matter. It's just you've got a dead end road sitting there, a public road. There's no way for a EMS or a fire truck to turn around because you're now going on private property.
There's not a way for them to turn around now. I mean,
Yeah, Mr. May, can you come back up? Yeah, there's not a development going here. It's just, I'm just thinking through the cost and the topography on this site and the challenge to build a city roundabout or a city cul-de-sac. I mean, those are huge. How big is a city cul-de-sac?
Could you do a hammerhead?
Maybe a hammerhead.
The topography to the left, right there at Tubbs, you have a shelf that's relatively level, and it goes out about 15, 20 feet. And then there's a very steep decline. And I can't go into Mr. Tubbs' property. He's got it fenced off right there. So it would present a challenge.
So I mean, this body can approve this request and not require both these conditions.
I guess my point is just that he could develop this into probably 30 or 40 houses. He's trying to consolidate and put one house there, and there's not a turnaround now. I mean, I don't want to just completely override city staff, but that just seems silly. But
Well, it's transportation that would
Right.
be overriding.
And just to clarify, this body can remove those conditions. They'll get another chance to look at it.
So they can, if we take the condition off.
It goes on to city council, and transportation will be the ones to review it again. And they'll be the ones that will get it on the city council agenda. At that point, they could add conditions.
Second. We have a staff recommendation to approve and with condition 1 and not 2. And it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next case on the agenda is case 2025-0115, and this is located at 2518 Bailey Avenue. And the applicant has requested a rezoning from RN2 to CNT, and staff is recommended to approve. Is there any opposition present?
Mr. Chairman, we did receive one letter in support of this request.
Thank you. What's the will of the commission? We have a motion to approve, and it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next case on our agenda is case 2025-0116, and this is located at 2423 Cedar Creek Drive. Staff is recommended to deny an applicant's request to rezone from R2A to A1 Agricultural District. Is there any opposition present?
And Mr. Chairman, we did receive several emails in opposition to this case as well as the next one. So you have that copy in front of you in our spreadsheet.
Thank you. All right, we'll hear both these cases together in terms of the staff report and the opposition.
Sure. The first case is.
Hold on, is the applicant present? Okay, thank you. Oh, you're in opposition? Okay, you're the applicant? Okay.
Sure. This first case is 2025-116. This is a request to rezone from R2A Rural Residential District to A1 Agriculture District. Proposed use will be a halfway house or a group home, if you will. It's roughly less than half an acre in size, 0.43 acres. You can see on the zoning map, everything around this property is residentially zoned, which is R2A. There is no A1 property near this development. The A1 zone is the only zone in the county that allows rehab centers, halfway houses, group homes. It's by a special permit by the county commission. That's why you have two cases. One's the rezone, and then one is the special permit. And I have on the screen here what a halfway house is. I think what group homes are. There's been no recent zoning history for this piece of property. Again, look at the zoning map. Everything around this is residentially zoned R2A. Here's a view of the site. Everything abutting this property is single unit detached residential. Here's a view of the site. Another view of the site. This is north of the site, single family dwelling. South of the site, single family dwelling. This is east of the site, another single family dwelling. This is west of the site, single family dwelling. And this is Cedar Creek Drive, which is all single-family dwellings, basically a subdivision, single-family subdivision. It's in the White Oak Mountain Area Plan, which was adopted in 2019. The place type recommendation is suburban residential. Primary uses being single-unit detached residential. So this is, again, supporting a subdivision. Here's a closer view of the place type recommendation, and looking at the screen, you can see this is primarily a single-family subdivision. This is the site plan submitted with the request. It's basically an aerial view because they're using the existing structure on the site. This request is not compatible with the adopted land use plan. Again, the land use plan recommends suburban residential. It is not compatible with adjacent land uses and development reform. The A1 zone is not an appropriate zone to introduce into residential neighborhoods that have been established. Approving A1 at this location will set the precedent for future requests. Just as a reminder, there's approximately 183,000 acres of A1 zone property in the county. The applicant can pursue other A1 zone property for this use. So staff recommended to deny the rezoning. Again, the next case is the same property, but it's a special permit for a transition or halfway house. Staff recommends to deny that request. It's not appropriate at this location. So staff recommends to deny both requests. We received tons of opposition to these both cases.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. All right. Hey, real quick, I did see a bunch of hands go up in opposition. If you're wishing to speak in regards to this case, can you go ahead and get out of your chairs and line up here on the right side of the room? Yes, ma'am.
Again, well, my name is Nerva Ashe. I am the owner of the home since 2005. And this is not the home, it's not a halfway house. We did not apply for a halfway house. I've been working for the state for over 16 years, working with children, seeing them in transitional or homes or home that are, while they are waiting for a placement, we want to be able to serve the community in a way where those children or those young adults who are leaving the state would not have to be homeless. Many of the children are, it's a transitional home in a way where we could house those children instead of having them remain in offices, remain in temporary homes while they're finding placement. And a lot of those children coming out of state custody at age 18, if they're not accepting extension of foster care, then they are left like this. They don't get anywhere to go. This home will serve as a place where we teach them how to have life skills beyond that, how to become independent adult, how to address their mental health while they are adult, while they are transitioning from being children to adult. We are accredited by the COA to be able to do that. All we need is the permission from the zoning. The house could hold up to 8 people while we are waiting on that.
Any questions for the applicant? I do have one. How long do the guests stay in the house?
They could be there for 30 days. They could be there up to 25, as long as we're going to help them with finding housing, finding employment, finding places where they could evolve instead of being homeless on the street or moving from one couch to another couch.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Ma'am, what kind of, first of all, I hope nobody on this commission has an issue with you doing what you're doing, because it's such a need to have services that provide supportive services and housing for people with mental illness. So I applaud you for what you're trying to do. My question to you is, in a neighborhood setting, what kind of, I guess, security, what kind of process do you have for monitoring the people that are living there? What type of independence do they have?
We're going to
Things
have
like that.
staffing
Mhm.
24/7.
Okay.
Case management going to be there to assist them and we're gonna have transportation. Somebody's always gonna be on the property with the clients.
And do they have the freedom to come and go as they please?
Like,
If they're
And-
housed there, do they have the freedom to come and go as they please? Or is it an independent living?
it's not independent living where they come in and go out. They'll, like I said, they're gonna have a staff, they're gonna have a process of coming, because there's gonna have program, they're gonna have group counseling, they have other program that's employment. You know, if they need to go look for a job, we're gonna have a staff that's gonna help them, especially if they're, most of them are not gonna have cars. So we're gonna try to take them to their employment. If they have, whatever they have, we're gonna have staff right there. If it's not gonna be me, it's gonna be my my manager, or there's gonna be a case manager there, a house manager there 24/7. So they cannot come in and out, or it's gonna be monitored. It's gonna be camera. I lived there for since 2005. I used to help children in that neighborhood to who parents were having domestic violence or whatever. So I am pretty, I mean, I love that neighborhood. I would never put something like
Sure.
that in that neighborhood.
Where do you get, one last question, where do you get your referrals? How do the kids come to you?
Well, we'll go, once we are zoned, we're gonna get approved by the state to get licensed. We're gonna get referrals from the state, children's services, the court, private. You know, we are open to help. No one is gonna be turned around.
Thank you, Chairman.
Any other questions for the applicant? All right, so, ma'am, we'll give you the opportunity to speak after we hear from the opposition, so you'll have the opportunity to come back up. So there's, I have not counted, but there's many of you that are lined up here on the right side of the room. 12. We have total 9 minutes for opposition. So we can do this one of two ways. Either one is y'all can figure out who's going to be speaking on behalf of this group of 12, and or I can just watch my watch and every person will have
45 seconds.
45 seconds. Somebody else do the math. Okay, so if you've, yes.
You said that about opposition, but how much time does the support have?
We'll give you an opportunity to speak after we've heard from opposition. So have a seat here and then we'll give you an opportunity to speak.
All of us are in support.
Oh, you're all in support of,
I'm in support of approval.
okay, well then, yes, please take a seat and then, yes, ma'am, come on up. And then I don't know exactly what we're doing in light of the fact that there's 9 minutes and there's 11 people, maybe now 12, standing behind you. Do they all want to speak, do you think?
No, probably not.
Okay, so let's give you a shot and see what we got.
So my name is Christina. I live in the house adjacent to this property. I have 4 teenage daughters that are all in college and a little boy that's 7. Myself and all of these people are a portion of the neighborhood of Shenandoah and Oak Shadows that are concerned about the changes in the zoning and what that could indicate, what that could change in the future and open doors for other businesses and changes that would come into this neighborhood that was built in the 70s. This is a neighborhood, when you move into this neighborhood, someone brings you a cake and says, welcome to the neighborhood. We want that to stay the same. We don't have an HOA. So all that we have is the support and communication that we have amongst ourselves, which you see is strong. And we don't feel comfortable with the advertisements that we've already seen online for this brokenhealerhome.com. She's already advertising this, and it says a lot of things that are very concerning about the, serious mental issues and people and youth and restabilizing them. And our neighborhood and each one of us believe that this is an absolutely crucial service that the community needs, just not there. We don't have any transportation. They don't have access to public transit. There's no places of employment near us. There's nothing like that. And as you all know, the definition of a halfway house, there's a flight risk. There's a chance that there may be elopement because they can come and go at any point in time against, their treatment plan or whatever is set up for them. If there's, supervised employees there, that's one thing, but there's going to be more people there than there is going to be, supervisors, obviously. So as my house is adjacent to it, this house has been the problem house in our neighborhood for a while. There's been bullet holes through my fence. There's been, we have neighbors that have come. My husband's a police officer, and we've had neighbors after neighbor after neighbor come to our house and ask us for help because of this house. And, he says, I cannot police my own home. You need to call the sheriff's department because we're in the county. So this is, in closing, our concern is not with the mental health services, but placing this facility in our neighborhood. The property's history of problems, lack of infrastructure, safety risk, and potential impact on property values show it is not a good fit for Shenandoah and Oak Shadows. We respectfully ask that you deny the application so these services can be located where they can operate safely and successfully. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, Lee Helton, County Commissioner for this area. I live relatively close to it. I've received numerous calls, emails in opposition of this rezoning and the special permit. Some of y'all, you know me, I try to give a lot of thought to issues and look at both sides. This is something we need in our city, in our county. I just don't think this is an appropriate location. I don't think the downzoning is justified to work it in. It's an established neighborhood. And they've had numerous issues with the home in the past. I don't think those issues will go away if we grant a permit and or a downzoning. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. There's just a little over 5 minutes remaining. Sir, if you'd like to speak.
Michael Murphy, 9305 Mountain Shade Drive. My house backs up to the house across the street from the house in question. I'm in Mountain Shadows, so I border there. I will just echo the same concerns. I have a lot of kids that come through my yard. It's a regular route to visit their friends in Mountain Shadows and vice versa. So I have the same concerns as already been spoken.
Good afternoon. My name's Bill Draper. My house is located just across the street from the subject house. When the owner of the house, who now currently owns the property, lived there with her family, they were great people, good people. The kids would come to my yard to play with my little puppy dog, who was about that big at the time. We enjoyed it. Had a good time, good neighbors. Then they moved. When they moved, we saw all kinds of people coming in, transit people. Some had to be evicted by the sheriff's department. There's records of sheriff's calls coming out for possible drug dealings happening from the neighborhood, coming from that house. Cars in the middle of the night, 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, sitting in their front yard with the lights on and the radios blaring. No supervision that we could see was afforded the house. There's multiple people in the house, up to maybe, I didn't count, but maybe 8 to 10 people at least at a time. I don't think they were all relatives. When they left, they always left a mess in the front yard, mattresses, furniture, whatever. Again, no supervision. Again, we have no problem with the idea of what they're going to do. It just, we don't think is suitable for the neighborhood that we have. As noted from your maps, from this gentleman here, there's plenty of places already zoned A1 in this county that can be used for such properties and for such purposes. We don't think a single family residence neighborhood that's been established since the late 70s, early 80s is the proper place to have it. We have no social services available, as already have been told. Even though they may provide transportation for the people that they're trying to help, which is wonderful, it won't be there, I promise you. It won't be there. There's no restrictions to the comings and goings of the people that will be there. And there has been in the past since they left about 3 years, since the owners left about 3 years ago. Again, we're concerned with the children in the neighborhood. We have young kids, as Christina says she has a 7-year-old son. And there's much younger kids in the neighborhood that play in the streets. They ride the bicycles, they skate up and down the road. The wives push their baby buggies.
Sir, there's only about 2 minutes left and there's a number of
Then I
people
will try to
behind
sum
you.
it up real quick.
Yes, thank you.
In essence, even though we support the idea of what the company is trying to do, we just don't think that the A1 spot zoning in our neighborhood is the way to do it. So we request formally that you deny the application. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Jan Ditzer, 2413 Wood Thrush Drive. I'm catty-cornered from Oak Shadows across the Standard Gap Road. I've had previous experience with group homes, and from what I have personally seen, the people that are usually, and this is just a generalization, the people that are employed there tend to be irresponsible, and the patrons or the residents there, they go all over the place. It's not a good place for a neighborhood that has children in it and also has a bunch of aged couples living there.
There's about a minute left.
I'm Candace Pullum. My parents live at 2496 Shenandoah Drive, and I don't think that they feel safe knowing that this will be in their subdivision. They are aged, and they would not be able to sleep at night and would be willing to possibly even put their house up for sale if this was gonna happen. And they've owned that house since I was 1.5 years old, and I'm 43.
I'm Kathy Kogel, 2408 Cedar Creek Drive. We have past experience with her leasing the house to multiple individuals, riding around the streets full blast on scooters. We have multiple experience with multiple people in this house. Please don't make us live through that again.
Thank you, ma'am.
Please. Thank you.
If y'all would like to speak and keep your comments short, you're welcome to. We do have 2 cases here on the agenda, so I can give you a little bit of extra time.
It's my wife, Kathy. I've lived on Cedar Creek Drive for about the last 25 years. It's a big circle, Potomac and Cedar Creek. You pretty much know all your neighbors by their cars driving by. It's gone through a generational change where it's kind of like reverting back to young families now. And so we're getting more little kids in the neighborhood than what we had before. And just, the traffic, the use of the property, 8 people in a home, also on a septic system that was probably when the house was built in the 80s. So, there's multiple concerns. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Tom DiMatteo. I live on Potomac Drive. I've lived there since 1988. I've had 2 kids grow up there. And when I moved there was a lot of kids. We went through a spot where there's not a whole lot of kids. Now we're back, the gentleman just said, we're building back up to kids. And I just don't think this is appropriate. I can't even understand why anybody would think about this. Criminals in our neighborhood.
Thank you, sir. Let's make sure we hear from the last gentleman here.
Hi, my name is Donald Marks. I live in a Mountain Shadow subdivision, 513 Picture Ridge Drive. It's about 1/3 of a mile away from where this proposed development is. Now, in our subdivision, we have 600 families, a lot of young families, young adults, small children, whatever. They moved into the community because they wanted a safe place for the children, okay? Activities for the children. We do not have gates. We've had recent increases in vagrancy and sometimes even break-ins and things of that nature. We don't need any multiplicity of this type of situation. In our community, we're not allowed to open up our houses for unnamed multiple personnel with different desires and ambitions for all kinds of purposes. We're not running any kind of commercial establishments.
Sir, thank you.
Things of that nature, okay?
Thank you for your
So,
comments.
That's why I am representing my community in firm opposition to this situation.
We hear you. Thank you. Great. Do you want to speak in support of it? Still?
What's the precedent? Would the response be to opposition first and then support would speak, or?
No,
how would this work?
you have the floor for 2 minutes.
And I'm not taking away any time
No.
from rebuttal. Well, clearly, yes, Noah Johnston, 666 Charbel Street, Hickson, Tennessee. So clearly we need something other than halfway house as a special, special permit, because this is not a halfway house. We're talking about people coming straight from the foster system to this house. And this is the kind of program that is going to reduce the likelihood of us having more criminal activity. And I just want to, I think that maybe everybody has it in their head that this is a halfway house. This is not a halfway house. This is a place to make sure that children who are in the foster home system do not end up homeless and therefore with a criminal record. And I want to say also, with all due respect, that I don't think it's appropriate for the recommendation to deny to be based on us not wanting to set the precedent for other houses in the area to revert back to an A1 designation. I just don't think that that's a realistic fear, because where is the incentive in doing that? And me personally, this is the only situation I can think of where someone would have the incentive to do that. There's no incentive for greater development opportunity if you're going from residential to A1 in a neighborhood like that. So I think that's an insincere recommendation to deny based off of that. And, every zoning change that we have that moves in the opposite direction of zoning classification is doing exactly the same thing, setting the precedent for, I guess that's my time limit.
Thank you.
Yep.
My name is Dorothy Burles at 839 Whisperwood.
Are you speaking in support or?
Yes.
Okay.
And also I wanted to, because I'll be the manager of the property. I keep noticing that whenever someone comes up, they keep mentioning halfway house. It is not a halfway house. And even as the owner, the last thing she would want is to even have criminals in a home that she's owned for so long. So being able to open up a place where kids who are coming from the foster, who don't have a place to stay, and to be able to eliminate homelessness for these kids, because once they come out of the foster system, they go for, into homeless. Then they become criminals. So a lot of the things that a lot of the people were saying about activities going on, the place used to be a place for renters. Now it is no longer a place for people to rent the home individually, but also it's going to be only designated to help these kids who are coming out of the foster. So a lot of the things that are being said, all these crazy activities that are going on, those would not be happening because it's not a place that is going to be rented or used for that, but it's specifically going to be used to help kids coming out of the foster system who don't have a place to go at 18 years old. So like they say, it takes a village to help. So this is the part that we as village can help these kids to be better citizens of the community and not have them be part of a problem, homelessness, criminal activities. So I would definitely would like for you guys to approve it so we can go out and help these kids who are sleeping in the office of the children and family because they have no place to go.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
When I moved out of the neighborhood 3 years ago, I moved because I started a ministry. to help people. And I was trying to help this family because she had a disabled child, and I'm sorry, she had a disabled child. So I let her stay at the house. No one ever complained anything about me except Wanda, who told me that they were having some criminal activity at the house. It took me a year with $17,000 to hire an attorney to get them out because I knew they were posing a threat to the neighborhood. I love that neighborhood. I would never, ever put a halfway house in that neighborhood. My children grew up in that neighborhood. I work with children sitting in offices wanting a home. That's what I want to do. Provide them a home while they're transitioning. That's what I want to do.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I try to help a little bit maybe? I don't know if it make it worse or not, but in the current, the county zoning code again is very, very old. So it uses old terminology. But the way it's grouped on the screen is the A1 district is the only zone that allows a lot of these type uses that we've talked about today. But the A1 says, these are the things that are permitted by special permit. Drug and alcohol, penal or correctional halfway houses, group homes or rehab centers, or similar uses which accept persons for care and provides room, board, non-medical living assistance to the residents. All those grouped in that one heading is special permit. Then it also has on here halfway house where it talks about people transitioning out from prison or whatever, and also mentions juveniles as part of that. If you go to the term group home, well, group home is strictly related to handicapped individuals. I don't think these are kids or handicapped people, so it wouldn't fall under group home. So it's really falling under, it's really hard to say where this falls under, but it's all under this one heading of a special permit from the county commission. And I don't know if it's probably, it's not technically a halfway house either, so I don't know what you would call this. It's a transition home, but I think it's the similar use, the way it's described above.
Thank you, Brian. All right, I want to open the floor for discussion.
I have a question.
Mr. Payne.
This subdivision's been around, I was 14 years old and a framing crew building houses when this was done. So are the restrictions in the neighborhood gone? I mean, there are covenants and restrictions, but a lot of times they age out in 40 years, something like that.
Yeah, we don't, since those are private matters, we don't look at those, but I'd say you're right. This probably has aged out unless they automatically renew.
And a lot of times back then they didn't. They would do a 40-year deal and that was the end of it.
I'm not sure it would have addressed this specific use either, probably.
Well, what it normally says is single family use only, you know, is what a single family residence. And so even if they've timed out, the people that bought in there had an expectation of what they were buying into. And I suspect that the reason that these are set up for A1 is because they're out, you know, typically an A1 development is outside of a subdivision, out in a somewhere that's not as tied to neighbors. I think that it's clearly a needed, and I think it's something the county ought to look at trying to help find a place for this. I don't think this is the place. But I think there's some comments, but I think naming the employees here as being not mature or not, or whatever the wording was, is completely wrong. In my mind, maybe the most, you know, this is a great, I guess, I would applaud the people who work here because this is something that the community clearly needs. So in my mind, it might not be appropriate for this neighborhood, but it's certainly something the county ought to get behind and try to help to find a place to make this vision come true for this lady and for the people that she's serving. But I don't believe the people that bought in this neighborhood should have to have an expectation of this kind of home in the neighborhood myself.
Commissioner, we've heard all the public comment we're going to hear, so you can have a seat. Thank you.
I agree, Mr. Payne. I think the lady has, ma'am, you have a great heart. And I think everyone on this dais appreciates your heart and your desire to help these young people. And I think the county, I would like to see the county provide more for that. I agree with Mr. Payne. It's just not the appropriate place. We appreciate your heart. We appreciate your desire. We know they're not criminals. We don't think these people are criminals, and we appreciate your staff that want to do it We just don't think it's an appropriate place. I don't. I would move to deny.
We have a motion to deny, and it has been seconded. Mr. Genoway?
Yeah, I just want to add, obviously the cause is noble, and this is an emotionally charged subject in general. One thing that I would sort of equate this to, and Brian, you'll remember going through this, and Commissioner, you'll remember going through this, but we went through almost a 2-year-long process on short-term vacation rentals. And obviously totally different use case, but the sentiment from the entire community was, when you're going to have transitionary people coming through and that kind of thing, it's better to have some setback and some distance between houses and that kind of thing. So it really is more appropriate in more of an A1 community where you have those setbacks and distances and types of things. Obviously, again, the cause is noble. It's something we need to try to find a place for, but in a suburban neighborhood, it's probably not the right place.
And Mr. Chairman, to Commissioner Janeway's point, I think Emily did look at the short-term vacation rental, if it would comply. It doesn't comply with that either. So we looked at it as sort of similar to a STVR.
Mr. Anderson?
Sir, we've ended public comment for this case. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too have an issue with I don't like to call it spot zoning because that's not a real thing that's actually defined anywhere. It's just a thing people say. But putting a zone that's not compatible with the zones around it, I totally get that, and I understand why that's in opposition. I want to thank the folks who were mostly respectful in the opposition. After years of being on this body and being an elected councilman as well, I hear over and over and over again, this is really important. I really love this, but just not in my neighborhood. And I have yet to hear a neighborhood ask for something like this or ask for a low barrier homeless shelter or something like that. And the problem is they have to go somewhere. I'm not saying this is the right location, but I want to take this opportunity to say, if Hamilton County is truly a community that cares about other human beings, we need to rethink the way we view these types of things that we know we need and everyone agrees we need in this county. And I am glad to hear that there are kids in the neighborhood again. I think a neighborhood dies when there's no kids, and the neighborhood is coming alive again because there are kids in it. But I want to leave you with this. Those are kids too. And because something happened to them outside of their control, they don't get to live on a street like yours. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I will simply say it's the words of a very famous man. I'll probably get jumped on for this, but for I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger and you took me in. I needed clothes and you clothed me. I was sick and you looked after me. I was in prison and you came to visit me. They said, well, when did we see you in all of these conditions? He said, when you did it unto the least of these, you did it to me. I will vote against this denial.
Thank you for that. Any other comments? Mr. Maybe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to probably repeat some of the things that my fellow commissioners have said, but I do want to be on record on why I'm at least going to vote the way I'm going to vote. I agree that this is probably the wrong spot for it, but I was just bluntly pretty appalled by some of the comments I heard in the opposition, and just can't let that go unaddressed. To blanketly describe or try to classify a group of people as criminals is just not acceptable. And to disparage the people that would be willing to work in a field as important to this, we cannot do that. Now, I want to also make sure that I emphasize the majority of the comments were very appropriate, and I thought and persuasive to me on why I'm going to vote against this request, but I did not want to let it go unsaid, at least by me, on those other items. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments? We have a motion to deny the applicant's request in regards to case 2025-0116. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we'll do a quick roll call.
Sure.
Who's keeping count? Let's be official.
Well, last time I needed help. I was not very good at it, so we got Sandra here today. So Emily will hopefully all
Okay,
three
go-
get through it.
Go slow.
Yes, slow.
Nay.
Aye.
No.
I got 6 yeses and 3 nos.
Thank you. In regards to case, motion carries. In regards to case 2025-0117, staff is recommended to deny the applicant's special permit. What's the will of the commission? We have a motion and it has been properly seconded. Any discussion? Yes.
I was the third no on the previous. I'll vote no on this as well. I as well am a Matthew 25 Christian. And I believe in the comments that Mr. Anderson said that, you know, lip service isn't good enough. And if we are actually going to care for our community members, it has to be in our neighborhoods. I also think that there were inappropriate comments. The inner city neighborhood where I lived for 7 years in Highland Park had an actual halfway house with actual people coming out of incarceration. And they were next door to me. I didn't know that when I purchased the house, but I figured it out. And I can tell you with my kids there, we had 0 problems ever. And you know, I don't know. I mean, there's a part of me that does think that being located more closely adjacent to public services is probably advantageous for something like this. A1 certainly doesn't suggest that, but you know, we do at some point have to say that we are going to care for folks, and yeah, I'll continue. I'll vote the same way again.
Commissioner.
I sat on this board for a year and then I fill in now. This is one of the most difficult votes that I've ever had. I'll just say this because everyone here cares about people. And I appreciate what Mr. Caudill said. I very much, and it touched me what he said. So thank you.
We have a motion to deny and it was properly seconded. All in favor say aye. Any opposed?
No.
Motion, well, did everybody who voted previously, did everybody vote the same? Did anybody vote differently? Motion carries. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, while everybody's still in the room on this case, this will go on next month to the county commission on September 10th at 9:30 in this same room. So if you're in opposition or support for the applicant, next month, September 10th at 9:30 in this same room.
Thank you.
You through?
Right, the next case on our agenda, item 5, is case 2025-0118. This is located at 7211 Bonnie Oaks Drive. The applicant is requesting a rezone from RN16 to CC. And staff is recommended to deny the applicant's request and approve other. Is there any opposition present?
Mr. Chairman, we did receive email in opposition in your spreadsheet.
Thank you. Is the applicant present? All right, and have you reviewed the staff recommendation? Come on up to the microphone. Sometimes in these cases, the applicant is fine with what's been recommended by staff. And in this case, are you okay with what's been recommended by staff?
I've read that, but can I present something else? Because I work for a corporate for Dunkin' Donuts. That's what I wanted to bring. But my son is a avid golf player. So he wanted to build a golf simulator in there. And I have talked to the neighborhood association president, and he is 100% in favor for that. So that is my first priority, preference. And if not, then probably if that's not available, I mean, I'm talking about a beautiful building that will bring commercial income. And that is what I would like to have. If not, I mean, a townhouse is probably acceptable. This is something I never done. This is the first time, so I'm not much familiar with a lot of things.
Okay. Mr. Schultz?
And also, sorry, sir. Also, this will be a membership based, not
Sure.
anybody can come in and go.
Mr. Schultz?
Yeah, this case, 2025-118, back on Bonnie Oaks. We've had several cases here along Bonnie Oaks past couple months. This is a request to rezone from residential RN16 to CC, commercial corridor zone. At the time the applicant presented the application, he wasn't really sure if it was going to be townhomes or commercial. Sounds like now he has more of a ideal, potentially a golf simulator type commercial use. It's roughly 0.69 acres in size. There's been some zoning history, as we discussed, I guess, last month along this corridor of Bonnie Oaks. Most recently last month, just right down the road in the red, you can see that request was recommended for approval by this planning commission to CNT with conditions. This is sort of mid-block between that case last month and the commercial to the east, which is the Taco Bell, and I think Dunkin' Donuts, and this is across from Silverville Baptist Church. So there's been some zoning history in this area, but over the years, we've been consistent from staff of trying to hold the line from further expanding along this section of Bonnie Oak, especially on the northern side. Again, as I stated a minute ago, 7117 west of the site was recommended by this body last month to rezone to CNT with 6 conditions. One was maintain single unit dwelling on the site. It was going to be used as an office. No expansion or additions except for ADA compliance as required by LDO, medical and professional office use only, and single unit attached or detached uses only. Except for driveway, no additional service parking, no dumpster services, and then 1 illuminated monument sign. Those are the conditions recommended for that case. That was a neighborhood type zone instead of the CC. Looking at adjacent uses, it's everything abutting this property is single unit residential. Of course, to the south, you do have the institutional, which is Silverdale Baptist School. Here's a view of the site. This is south of the site, again, it's part of the Silverdale Academy. This is east of the site, Starbucks. West of the site, single-family dwelling. Here's Bonnie Oaks Drive. This is in the Shelf Road Lee Highway Plan, which was adopted in 2005. It recommends single-unit residential. Again, this plan is outdated. We do have Plan Chattanooga coming on board, hopefully the next couple of months. That may change the recommendation through here. But right now, the plan is single-unit residential. Here's the site plan. I think it was submitted with a request at the time. It was showing, I think, townhomes potentially at this location. This request for CC is not compatible with adopted land use plan or adjacent land uses in development form. The plan does not support introducing non-residential uses along this portion of Bonnie Oaks. And again, the plan is 20 years old, or exactly 20 years old. So we're waiting on the new plan to come aboard and see if it has anything different to provide in terms of place types. As I mentioned earlier, just last month, right down the road, we recommended CNT. Again, that was a different use, there was a structure on the property. So staff recommends to deny this request and approve RN2 as it would be in line with the current adopted plan, with the thinking that townhomes would be appropriate at this location. So staff recommends to deny this request.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Any questions for staff? Yes.
I do just.
Okay.
I'll be quick because I care a lot more about what Councilwoman Burrs thinks, but am I correct that we have apprehension about a Dunkin', but there's literally a Starbucks next door?
Well, staff has been pretty consistent through this corridor, recommending deny on all those. I believe we recommended deny for those other properties across from Silverdale as well. Council felt differently and agreed for those.
Okay.
And we're sort of waiting on the plan. We like the new plan to help provide guidance. It's just not adopted yet.
I think this is another one of those things where we're kind of hampered. Well, staff is hampered by a 20-year-old document. I was on Bonnie Oaks the other day. It's changed a little bit. in 20 years, and we just
So you're
haven't
saying
caught
you're
up
a
yet.
Dunkin' guy, not a Starbucks guy? Is that-
I'm saying I'm a take no position and support
Oh,
everybody guy
okay.
when it comes to that. When I need coffee, wherever
I
the
would say there's a
closest
Taco
is,
Bell right there too, so.
I do support that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman.
Councilwoman Burrs.
Yes. Hello, sir. We spoke on the phone and a couple of times, and thank you for getting with the neighborhood association. I appreciate that. I just want to make a correction for the record in your letter that you sent to the planning commission or to the regional planning agency that we did speak, and I did agree that there is development going on, but I wasn't ready to commit to a commercial zone yet. So I just wanted to clarify that. I think housing is definitely more appropriate for where this is. It's not right adjacent to my fellow commission members. It's not right next door to the Starbucks and the other commercial. There is a little bit of a gap. So I think that it's important that we maintain the integrity of the neighborhood feel. While I applaud you for doing some economic development, I'm just wondering if there'd be a better place for the simulator. I mean, we're a big golfing community, and I'm sure you'd get great membership. I'm just thinking that housing might be more appropriate at this time. So I would lean more towards that, and I would lean towards attached housing versus detached versus attached housing. Thank you.
Yes.
Thinking because anything from I-75 to 153, I would say probably 80% is commercial. There's probably about 20 houses in between these two roads. So I can see, I mean, I read somewhere in the report that in 2026 it's going to be going to be widened. So in the future, it probably will be helpful in the commercial. When you're talking about detachments, I was thinking about more like two townhouses with 2 units. That's 4 units. Is that fine with you?
I still think attached would be more in line with the rest of the neighborhood. I do agree with you that things will change when the road widens, and there's no guarantee exactly when that's going to happen. There has to be the funding to do it, and I know it's going to be happening in sections. And I'd love to hear from the other commissioners if they have any input on that.
Yes.
Councilwoman, I agree. I'm on TPO board, and we have been asking the state to widen that road, and it's still pending. We're hoping it comes through, but the 4 years I've been on TPO, we have been looking for that and hoping for it, but it has not come through yet. And I would disagree that it's 80% commercial now. It's primarily residential now in that area. I think he's got a great plan. I'm just not sure it's the right place for it. Thank you.
Chairman.
Yes.
I would suggest maybe either withdrawing or deferring this until Plan Chattanooga comes through. That way we have better advice on what needs to happen here. And I guess the question would be if we took action to withdraw it for them, can we do that? And then could they come back whenever they want to if we do that?
Sure. I mean, the applicant can request to withdraw it today, and then he can come back as long as he meets their next application deadline days. Because we're not really, I think, sure, definite when Plan Chattanooga will be in front of this body. So if you withdraw it, you can still develop it as currently zoned for single family. But if you want to do something different, the plan may offer some different guidance that we can use to maybe recommend something different at this location. That way, if it's denied at city council, you can't come back for 9 months.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just making a suggestion because it may give you more time to work with city council, come up with a good solution for this, and then come back with full support.
Okay. So single family means I paid $120,000 for that lot to put at one house. It would be not a very good one investment. So I'll withdraw that, and we'll wait for the council to make it.
Motion to withdraw.
Second.
We have a motion withdrawal. It has been properly seconded. Any discussion? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How many times can you defer?
Only 60 days.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. One other thing is that your site plan doesn't work for a number of reasons. And so I would encourage you to If you're going to come back before this body, maybe talk to an engineer, because a new road would be a 50-foot right of way, and you have, roughly 126 feet there. I just think there's a number of reasons why that may not work the way you would like for it to. So make sure to consult with an engineer to get some advice.
Oh, for this
Yeah,
purpose?
if you're building the residential or the commercial, I think it'd be helpful just to make sure that you get the right zone.
Okay.
Yeah, or an architect.
All right.
But I just looking at this site plan and just seeing a number of potential issues with it,
Okay.
and thinking maybe you could get some good advice on how to move it forward.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I would think so. All right, next case on our agenda is case 2025-0119, and this is located at 5813 Lee Highway. And staff is recommended to approve an applicant's request to rezone from CC to CR. Is there any opposition present?
Mr. Chairman, we did receive one email in opposition. It's in your spreadsheet.
What's the will of the commission? We have a motion to approve, and it has been seconded. Ms. Burrs?
Yep, that's okay. I want to make a comment. Is the applicant here? Yeah. Oh, hi. I'm the city council. Do you mind coming to the mic? Thank you. Hi, I'm the city council person for that district, and I was just made aware of this. I would love to make a motion to defer so you and I can talk a little bit more about what your plans are before this body makes a decision.
Okay, how long would that set me off?
I would ask for a 30-day deferral.
Okay.
Because
so-
here are my concerns. Normally I would ask, and this is because of some history with some other event spaces on Brainerd Road where the neighbors have really been, there's been problems with noise, with activity going on inside and around the event hall. So I don't know anything about the space. I would love to be able to help sell it for you with the neighborhood, with a better understanding of what your plans are. The things we ran into were if there was outdoor space that was added, if activity ended up late hours, then it ended up being a problem for the neighborhoods. And you're right across from a neighborhood and you back up to a neighborhood. So I think if we have a better understanding and can have a community meeting, so the neighborhoods, I'm not sure where the opposition came from, then it can be part of the community versus people viewing it as a nuisance. I'm not saying it's going to be, but I'd love to be able to be supportive in that way to have a better understanding of what your plans are.
Okay.
Okay.
Chairman, I want to withdraw my motion, please.
I'll withdraw my second.
Okay, and I'd like to make a motion to defer for 30 days. And then I'll get with you after the meeting if you can wait around and
Okay.
get your contact information.
We have a motion to defer for 30 days, and it has been properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next case on our agenda, item 7, is case 2025-0120, and this is located at 2306 East 14th Street. Staff is recommended to approve an applicant's request to rezone from RN2 to TRN2. Is there any opposition present? What's the will of the commission? We have a motion to approve, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next case on our agenda is item 8. It's case 2025-0121. It's located at 2312 East 14th Street, and the staff is recommended to approve an applicant's request to rezone from RN2 to TRN2. Is there any opposition present? We have a motion to approve, and it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next case on the agenda, item 9, is case 2025-0122. This is located in the 2600 block of Long and William Street. It's an application to rezone from RN-3 and TRN-3 to CX-9. Staff is recommended to deny the applicant's request and approve other with conditions. Is there any opposition present? Is the applicant present? You're the applicant. Any comment in regards to the conditions?
Both of the conditions are acceptable, but we're still looking to maintain the zoning classification requested. But having it be a residential use and limiting the height both make sense.
Mr. Schultz?
Sure. This is 2025-122. This is located in South Broad Street. This is a request to rezone. The property has split zoning designation of TRN3 and RN3 to CCX9, which is a Chestnut Street form-based code zone. So it's a new form-based code request to extend from the Wheeling Ballfield site to this property. It's roughly 1.74 acres in size. Number of units proposed is 11 single-family dwellings. That's a density of 19. Looking at the zoning map, you have CMU1, open space zone, and RN3 abutting this property. Again, the closest form-based code is across Broad Street to the west for the Wheeling Foundry Ballfield site. Here's an aerial view of that site and seeing how close it is, or not close, but the close proximity to the west, the new form-based code CCX9. It's currently vacant. There's institutional to the west and vacant land. To the east side is institutional and single-unit residential. And to the south is multi-unit residential. And to the north on that OS zone, that's a park. This property is in the 500-year floodplain. This is a view of the site from William Street, site from Long Street. This is north of the site. North of the site is on the multi-unit residential on West 26th Street. South of the site. This is east of the site. This is west of the site church. This property is in the South Broad District Plan, which was adopted in 2018. The South Broad District Plan recommends single-family housing and mixed housing with low intensity. Here's a closer view of that plan recommendation through here. You can see it's, again, single families for intended use. This is the site plan submitted with a request. It has all the single-family homes abutting Long Street. These are single-unit detached with ADUs and garages to the rear. And along 33rd Street, I think it's 33rd Street, these are attached units. This is just a rendering showing you the differences between the RN3, TRN3, and the CCX9 in terms of the lot sizes and setbacks. I think the issue is setbacks. The main reason the applicant's going for the CCX9 is setbacks. The TRN3 has a build to zone. You have to build to that zone. So it doesn't give you much flexibility. You can see that's 50, if it's 15 feet or plus or minus 5 feet. In the TRN3 zone, the RN3 is 15 foot or average. I think they're wanting to push them closer to the street. Therefore, they're going for the CCX9 because we don't have a zone that allows that, if you will, urban type setback of 0. And so the bigger thing is in the uses as well. RN3 is the second column over, TRN3, and then of course CCX9. You can see the uses ramp up from residential to more commercial uses in the CCX9. The proposed residential uses on this site is compatible with adjacent land uses and the plan for this area. The proposed zone and development form is not compatible with the development form found along Long Street and William Street. The requested zone, which is a CCX9, is not compatible with South Broad District Plan or the downtown plan. There's criteria noted in the form-based code when you are able to extend form-based code zones, and there's 3 questions. The property is within close proximity to the form-based code boundary. Doesn't specify what close proximity is. The physical character of the property is consistent with the overall character of the nearest form-based code boundary. Well, that's the CCX9 or Chestnut. And within that classification, it says this is a former industrial site that now has a wide variety of uses and public amenities, including office, commercial, residential, entertainment, venues, restaurants, and public access to the Tennessee River. So it's a mixture of uses. And this property is included in the downtown plan. So the main thing is really that character. Where this property is requested to have the CCX9, that is primarily single family with a church here or there, but it's primarily single family. So staff recommends to deny this request and approves CMU 1, which is adjacent to this property, which would be in line with the plan with those two conditions.
Mr. Skidmore.
Ben Skidmore, 537 Market Street. Can I pass out? We have just a little summary we did and some proximity exhibits just to sort of speak to some of the questions specific about the form-based code criteria. While that's being passed out, I'll just do a little bit of background. Ultimately, we're trying to do a quality urban infill residential development. No concern from our end on the residential condition criteria or the height. We agree that CX9 has way too much latitude, but there is no CCX5 or CCX3 yet. Do want to speak to the proximity piece. We're two short sides of the block away from the Chestnut form-based code. That's less than a 5-minute walk. And as we see South Broad develop and redevelop into a primary corridor that has Chestnut form-based code along its frontage as well as CMU, if you turn to that first page of the map, there will be a retail commercial centric corridor along Broad. 1 block to the east between Cowart and Williams. Plans are already underway for condos to the north end, as well as the whole balance of that block. Now CMU 1 was previously UGC with a slew of conditions. We've spoken with that developer. They frankly were too far along the way in their development to participate in a larger aggregate rezoning. But if you look at their site plan, which is on that 3rd page, it's also in keeping with trying to provide urban infill, denser residential living. And so we think it's in keeping with that. So from a proximity standpoint, we understand that there's CMU between us and the form-based code, some of which the ship has just already sailed with their development. But we think the character piece of what we're trying to achieve is consistent. So we think the proximity makes sense. We think the character makes sense. When we're looking at the CMU, we also have a few reservations about what we're getting in. We're getting the bring it to the street component, which is the 0 to 15, but we're also getting worse side yard setbacks and more buffers to what the current zoning is TRN3. And so that's the primary concern. At the end of the day, we want to be able to address the street similar to Chestnut and CMU, but CMU ends up adding on additional side yard setbacks and buffers more than what is present today. We also want the flexibility, or it's important to have the flexibility of a fee simple lot at the north end of this development, which my understanding is a newly zoned CMU1 does not allow. So we're fine for the HPR component, but if we wanted to have a fee simple lot on the north end, which is the current plan, we would not be allowed to do so. So our request is to maintain the CX9 based on the proximity, based on the character we feel being appropriate, but still supporting the conditions that staff outlined that are ultimately the concerns around CCX, which have to do with both the use and the height of the development.
Thank you, Mr. Skidmore. Any questions for the applicant? Yes.
I don't have a question. Well, I do have a question, I guess. I'm 99% sure that this is true, but is this not in the South Broad TIF for the stadium?
I don't believe the TIF extends all the way to this property, but I'm not sure about that.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Then let's go with that.
I
do not know.
We could confirm, I guess, but I'm looking at a map. I'm looking at a map that's a couple years old, but I believe it is. And I would just say, whether it is or not, that area needs all the spur in the world to develop, because I don't know if you've driven by lately, but they've almost got a stadium out of the ground. And right now the city and the county are financing that stadium's debt service. and we rely on every tax dollar that is generated out of that district to pay the debt service. And so I would just argue that any development that is going to increase the value, the property value within that TIF is warranted.
Thank you. Mr. Anderson?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of misinformation out there. I can't help people who are in the audience or watching this confused by that, but I want to encourage, I know we've got a couple of people in addition to me on this body who live in or near the south side, and I want to thank Mr. Janeway for his comments. And despite what some people have heard, there's actually a ton of development going on down there. Ben, as you well know, right next to you. I want to encourage you to add to that. I want to thank you for adding to it. I think in 2 years, because of you and others who are doing this work, this will be the most vibrant part of Chattanooga.
Agreed.
That debt service is going to be paid back earlier than expected, thanks to projects like this. Thank you.
Do you want to make a motion? Okay. Anybody else wish to speak?
I'll make a motion if.
Well, I think Mr. Payne was just about to say something. Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the requested zone with the staff conditions.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and it has been properly seconded. I'm just curious why, and I just want to have the conversation, that's all. Why do we care if it's well, no. Yeah, well, I'll just let it go. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next case on the agenda is case 2025-0123, and this is located at 7417 and 7423 Mintom Drive. Staff is recommended to deny the applicant's request for rezoning from RN-6 to RN-3, 1-3. Is there any opposition present? All right.
We did
And-
receive emails in opposition as well.
Yeah, and is the applicant present? Thank you. Mr. Schultz?
Well, we've seen this case before a couple months ago. That case is withdrawn at that time. As for TRN3, this is now a request to rezone from RN-16 to RN-13, residential neighborhood zone with conditions supplied by the applicant. It's for single unit detached residential. It's roughly 2.92 acres in size. Number of units proposed are 16. That's a density of 5.4 dwelling units per acre. The 4 conditions added by the applicant are a maximum density of 16 lots. ADUs are not allowed. Buffer to RN-16, we're not really sure what that means. Then a 10-foot natural buffer to the east. Again, not really sure what that condition means is either. It's not very specific to what those conditions are. There's been some zoning history on this street. To the north, that was rezoned from R1 to R3 and then special permit for residential PUD. Well, you can see that in the red leader line. And then to the south, at 7432 Mintom, that was rezoned from residential R1 to RTZ with conditions. And then the TRN3 was equivalency mapped during the new zoning code to TRN3. Here's an aerial view of the site. To the east is single unit detached residential. To the south is single unit detached residential under construction. And then single unit detached is under construction to the southwest. And then to the east is single unit residential. Here's just a zoomed out view of that same street. You can see a lot of development occurring, whether that being single unit attached, under construction, or already been developed. And institutional uses there. And you can see this site in relation to all those. Here's a view of the site. South of the site. Southwest of the site, some of that single unit attached being constructed. East of the site. This is west. And here's Mintom Drive. This is an East Brainerd area plan, which is one of our newer plans adopted in 2021. It recommends single unit detached residential as being the primary use. Here's a closer view of that place type designation. Here's the site plan submitted with a request. You can see it's one curb cut with a cul-de-sac with all the homes on one side of that cul-de-sac or a road. This request for RN 13 is not compatible with adopted area plan, adjacent land uses, and development form. There is no RN 13 zone property near this site. The applicant is using the RN 13 as a tool for reduced lot size and setback variances instead of going through Board of Appeals, which is the normal place you'd go through variance route. The RN 16 zone will allow construction of single unit detached and attached or detached ADUs, which are more compatible with adjacent development and adjacent land uses. Again, approving RN 13 at this location will set the precedent for future requests for RN 13, which is again a smaller urban type lot. So staff recommends to deny this request and keep it RN.
Sorry about that. Evidently, I have the power.
Are you cutting me off?
I have the power to mute you. Did you know that? Yeah.
See, I was wondering what happened throughout. It's been going off and
It
on.
happens automatically. I don't know.
So now I know who's doing it. I thought
Yeah.
it was Emily.
Yeah. No, it's me. Sorry about that. Mr. Ingram?
Good afternoon, Joseph Ingram, Ingram Gore and Associates. So we went through this 2 months ago. I got with the neighbors, kind of pushed for a meeting. They asked that if they could kind of just go through the different plans. And so as late as last week, I actually don't know what came. They had an HOA meeting last week, and I don't know what came out of that. But this is a curious case because we're using the RN 13 to try to get. This would have been, 3 years ago. I would have done this as a PUD, which is the same thing we're building across the street in the PUD. But if I do the RN 16, I can do 12 lots, 12 ADUs. So my total density would be 24. I'm not asking for a zone. I'm not building any buffers. I'm not giving any concessions. So I gave the neighbors the choice. I said, I'll condition this 16 lots. We'll do only, and they're for sale. Obviously, if I'm doing ADUs, you know where that's going. We're gonna, if I've got 12 lots and 12 ADUs, you're pushing it into a different market. Mr. Payne spoke about it earlier, that we're gonna push this into a rental market. And so I guess I'd like to hear what the neighbors, what they wanted, because we'll march ahead with either one, but we like the RN 16 because it'd be the exact same house we're going to build across the street. We'll build here. This will be just phase 2. And so, so then saying that we're not in the compatible zone, everything else, the one next door is zoned multifamily. We're behind us is multifamily. Across the street is multifamily. And there's no potential for any continuation because everything else is developed, or I'm developing it across the street. So I'd love to hear what the neighbors had to say, and we'll go with what they want. We're prepared if the neighbors really want us to keep it RN 16 with no conditions. That's what we'll do.
We'll hear from your neighbors. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, one of the opposition is coming up, just to clarify, this site is 2.92 acres, so a PUD would not have been able to be, you had to have 5 acres to do a PUD 3 years ago. So you couldn't do a PUD on this.
A reminder to state your name and address for the record.
Hello again. John Williams, 2669 Kingsley Court, former president of the HOA Association. We talked to Mr. Joseph, whatever. I'm sorry. Anyway, we talked to him out in the lobby the last time we were here, and we talked about a couple of different things. We're concerned about the property back behind there, where the arrow points up to the top there. That was forest at one time. It's not now. It's gone. They're going to build something one of these days, but until then, the only forest we have are weeds behind the fence. At the end of the property where we're going to build, where he wants to build, we have some trees, which would be our only means of privacy. I'd like some kind of a promise that as many trees back there can stay for erosion control, because this lot, if you look at the lot itself, it's shaped like a funnel. And it comes up from the hill and it comes right down. A couple of weeks ago, we had that real good hard rain over there. And there was water standing on Mintom for a little while from that ditch. And, you know, the lot itself, I mean, y'all saw the size of the lot, the photo of the photo. You can find a photo of it there. Yeah, there, you know. Can you see 16 houses on that? I certainly can't. Mr. Javier was going to build 2 houses, you know, one for his mother, one for him. Well, his mother died, so I guess he decided to sell it, which is okay. But, you know, all those beautiful trees that we have back there, you know, that's all the trees we have around us in the neighborhood now. You know, so, you know, that's the only privacy we have. And if he goes through and takes, you know, the stuff and at least makes a 10-foot leeway on the right side of the property, you know, that means he's going to take out the trees and plant little trees. You know, why do you tear down trees and put more trees in?
Primarily so that they can build houses. Let's hear from the other guy here in line.
My name is Mark Caldwell, and I live at 2533 Kingsley Court. I'm going to have to make this brief because my meter has run out. Yeah, is in terms of the staff recommendation, I would focus on your last sentence. Approving the RN 1 to 3 at this location will set a precedent for future requests, and I think that's valid. The developer has said we own some more property up here, so if you approve this for RN 1-3, then there's a good likelihood that he's going to develop more. The primary problem that we have on Mintom is traffic. There's a school there. It's a main cut through from Gun Barrel up to Jenkins, and someone's going to get hurt because it's primarily seniors that are out there trying to walk on it. So I'll leave it at that. I think I've said some other things before, but I trust you guys. I'm going to have to go. All right.
Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to note, in terms of trees, the new tree ordinance passed by City Council not that long ago does require the planting of 36 inches per acre of new caliper trees if an area is clear cut for development. And I think there used to be trees where everybody's house is, and that's all I have.
Unless you have a tree house.
Unless you have a tree house.
I think they use trees to build the houses too.
They did.
I've
Yes,
heard
they did.
I've heard this. Mr. Ingram.
I'm just going to go back to what I said. You spy right, we can do RN 1-6. And by the code, we've already figured out we can do 12 lots with ADUs, so I can do 24 units. If I go the RN 1-3 with the conditions, which would not make it as stinky, then when we're building the crossroads already zoned, we're down to Plat. We're not fixing to rezone anything, but it's the same unit, it's the same house. So I just think the RN 1-3 with the conditions we pose, I'm going to give them so Brian, what I meant with the buffer is between the opposing zones, my RN 1-3 to the RN 1-6. And then we'd leave, I'd do this, I'd move the road over. I do ADUs, I can't keep my road off the right side because I need all the room in the lots to get the ADU in and get the 12 RN 1-6 lots. I'm trying to give them a better development. I'm trying to do something that works for them, but we're going to build one or the other. We would prefer to build the same thing we're going to begin doing in the neighborhood. But if that's what, I mean, I don't want to fight with the neighbors. I've had a really good conversation with them. They've been really polite. I mean, so I don't bear them any ill will. I'm trying to give you the best product we can. We've compromised down from 24. And so we're trying to, and this is just like I say, there's that gap between the RN 1-6, at 60, 55 frontage, for RN 1-5, 50, and then 3 is 30. There's a big jump. These are 40-foot wide lots. I wish there was something in between, but that's where I am. And I mean, I'd love to answer questions, but I think this is a better plan for them. I mean, And if they don't, I mean, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram. What's the will of the commission? Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Ingram, can you come up? I have a question for you. You talked about ADUs a little bit, and maybe you skipped past this. Why did you voluntarily self-condition no ADUs? For the record, we like ADUs and want a lot more of them in Chattanooga. So I'm just curious, was that a
I'm
neighborhood
trying to
request?
So then I think I'm giving the old switcheroo. I want to say 16 units is it, that I can't come, I won't do it. I'm going to come in the RN 13 and should say, try to pop 16 more ADUs in. So
Okay.
I'm trying to give them a density cap.
For future reference, they don't count toward your density cap, and we want more ADUs. It's been legal in Chattanooga for 4 years, and we've got less than 200 of them.
They're complicated, you know that.
I do know that,
They're complicated.
but I just say it is a thing that the city.
Yeah, it's just like I
supports.
said, and then it changes the dynamic of what the property is. So
Sure.
that was kind of what I was trying to imply. But I appreciate what you're trying to do.
Thank you. Thanks.
What's the will of the commission?
I wish I had more perspective for you.
Mr. Schultz, what would be the maximum lots you think that would be developed if it were to go to this zone that you guys have recommended? Or suggest, or the current zone? It would be how many?
He said 12.
And we're at 16? Okay, so 13 if there were no ADUs. So I can see here, it's not hard to see that the density is higher than that of the neighbors. The trees are coming down in every scenario because it's going to get redeveloped. And, when I look at a plan like this, oftentimes what I'm thinking is how do 3 units, maybe 4, impact the neighborhood one way or the other, and they don't. I mean, the reality is whether it's 12 bigger houses, the number, and I don't have the research to back it up, but the number of cars that are going to be on Tim Tom are probably greater if there's 12 big homes than there are 16 smaller homes, because smaller homes typically have fewer number of driving family members. They may have, only 1 car. But once you go to 12 lots, the homes are going to get bigger, and you're going to have a more traditional looking family. And I know my traditional looking family now has 5 cars. And so there's just a lot more traffic on the road. So I just don't see where it makes that big a difference in terms of the community around it, whether it's, its current zone or it's rezoned to the RN 13. I just don't think it's going to make a huge difference.
It does. I mean, I would just add that just for not setting a precedent, approving the RN 13, but then again, I can't argue with what you just said either.
Second.
We have a motion. It has been properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Ingram. Next case on our agenda is item 11. It's case 2025-0124. Staff is recommended to deny an applicant's request located at 3916 and 3920 Murray Hills Drive for rezoning from RN 16 to IMU. Is there any opposition present? Is the applicant present?
Mr. Chairman, we did receive several emails in opposition to this case.
All right, Mr. Schultz.
Yeah, this is case 2025-124. This is a request to rezone, split zoning designation of CC and RN16 to IMU for a private garage condo type development. It's off Highway 58 into the Murray Hills subdivision. It's 0.87 acres in size. Number of units proposed are 24. That's a density of 12.6 dwelling units per acre. There's no IMU zone property near this site. There's been no zoning history on this piece of property. You can see abutting this is RN16 to the north and CC to the south and east of it. It's two vacant pieces of property as well as looks like a parking lot or access to the commercial to the south, institutional uses to the north, single unit to the west, and commercial to the south of the site. Here's a view of the site going into Murray Hills. This is another view of the site. You see those trucks, that's part of the property. I think that's the CC zone portion. This is north of the site, which is a church. This is south of the site along Highway 58, commercial uses. This is east of the site. The site's just to the right of the picture. You can see the commercial there. This is west of the site, single family dwelling. Of course, again, another look at Murray Hills Drive. It's one of our older plans, Highway 58, community plan adopted in 2002. It recommends low density residential and community commercial for this location. Primarily uses are low density residential and does allow retail component in the commercial part, but that's closer to Highway 58. Here's a closer view of that land use designation. You see most of it, for the most part, is single family residential or low density residential. Here's a site plan submitted with a request. These are going to be private storage garages. The request is partially compatible with the Highway 58 plan. The request for storage in the IMU zone is not compatible with adjacent residential land uses going into Murray Hills or the development form found along Murray Hills Drive. Again, we've said this many times today, it will set the precedent for future requests by introducing an industrial zone along the edge of a residential subdivision. A residential zone such as RN2 allows medium density housing like townhouses or duplexes more appropriate at this location than industrial uses. So staff recommends to deny and keep the current zoning in place.
Thank you, Brian. One more time, was there any opposition present? Hands up if there is. No? Okay. Alan, come on up.
Well, good afternoon. Alan Jones with Stone Creek Consulting, 1112 Wilmouth Road, Dunlap, Tennessee. So this site is being proposed for a private garage condo storage. That's a mouthful. So these would be individually sold to the tenants that would be looking to store, whether it's they want to store their own boat, their own car, have a workshop, have a just a private use. With the old zoning, with the commercial zoning, the self-storage use would have been allowed. When I talked with RPA, the zone for this would be considered indoor self-storage. So now that this commercial zone no longer allows self-storage, you have to look at either industrial, light industrial, or the industrial mixed-use zones for self-storage uses. I've initially looked at the light industrial, but if you start looking down through the uses, light industrial allows both indoor and outdoor self-storage, and the industrial mixed-use does not allow any outdoor self-storage. It has to be enclosed indoors, and it also allows the residential component to go with it. A part of this would be, having the option. The reason also for the mixed use is having that option to have some residential mixed into this project. As far as the community goes, I initially reached out to two individuals in the neighborhood. They were in support of this, and they recommended that I get in touch with the president of the neighborhood association to get a neighborhood meeting set up. Before I went on vacation a few weeks ago, we were set to have a meeting on a Saturday. Got back from vacation, email, text, phone call, no response. So I never able to have that neighborhood meeting. I did reach out to Councilman Clark after that, and he said that he would, on his own accord, set up a neighborhood meeting for them. So we're going to be having that between now and City Council. I also reached out and talked to the new pastor over at St. John United Methodist Church and one of her staff members. They didn't have any issues with this request either. Their comment to me was, we look at our fellowship hall and we see homelessness. So they would love to see this site cleaned up. And currently it's being used pretty much more or less as a truck stop. Trucks are parking on the commercial property. Right now, about 55% of this site is already zoned commercial. The other part is zoned RN16. I understand that this is a transition into the Murray Hills subdivision. So we want to be careful and mindful of how this development moves forward. If you look at all the property that surrounds this to the south, it's all commercial, except for about 40 feet there on the west side or left side of the page. Everything else is commercial to the south. So the zoning would require a 20-foot landscape buffer. We've actually already kind of designed our site plan to have the buildings 30 feet off of the property line if in the event we get to city council and they want to ask for a 30-foot buffer just to have a little bit more buffer space going into the residential zone. The staff report was talking about some of the uses that might be conflicting with industrial use, the IMUX or IMX. And if you look at all the zones that, if you compare commercial and you compare IMU, there's about 59 uses that's between, but they can pretty much be used between those two zones. 18 of those are only exclusive to the IMU that you can't have in the commercial. And of those 18, there's really only about 8 that would be a potential concern for this community. And once we have the neighborhood meeting, we might be able to have some of these conditions, listed that would be excluded. Some of those are your light industrial, heavy retail, live entertainment, major vehicle repair, warehouse, and outdoor storage. Those are conditions that we can put in place to limit this property. Essentially, it's looking at ways to, because unfortunately we can't we can't have a condition that allows additional use. Like we couldn't just say, hey, we want commercial with the ability to have indoor self-storage. We have to go kind of around the horn to get something that might be compatible. This site backs up to a gas station, Walmart, and a boat dealership. This is not really an ideal place for residential infill. Even if residential infill was to come onto these properties, the whole neighborhood was built and platted in 1956. And so it's all single family, 1-story ranches. Any new development, we would have 60-foot wide lots, 2 to 3 story homes. Even that's not going to fit the context of the existing neighborhood. So whether it's an RN16 or something of a private condo storage is still a different, unique transition. And then the zoning application, I did also add that we would like to have a self-imposed condition to limit the building height to 45 feet, because that's what's allowed in the commercial zone. I even talked to my client, he'd be happy to do 35 feet as a building height max, which is what's equal to the residential zone. But at that, I'll just leave it to any questions.
Any questions for the applicant?
Yes.
Councilwoman Byrd?
Would you be willing to defer it for 30 days to give Councilman Clark the opportunity to have a neighborhood meeting? So when you come back, you have the support with the conditions that you're proposing?
I'd be fine with that. I mean, he seemed okay to have that neighborhood meeting between now and city council. But if this body would prefer that, that would be okay.
Well, my concern is going ahead and getting it rezoned before he has the opportunity to have that neighborhood meeting. Just if you would be okay with the deferral, then I would like to make a motion to defer to give, and I'll see him tomorrow and just let him know you got to have that community meeting before the next planning commission meeting.
Sure.
Okay, I make a motion to defer.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
We have a motion to defer, and it has been properly seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Next case on our agenda is item 12. It's a mandatory referral, case 2025-0125, and this is located in the 200 block of North Orchard Knob Avenue. And it's for a right-of-way closure and abandonment. Staff is recommended to approve. Is there any opposition present? We have a motion to approve. I need a second. Yep. Oh, you're here in opposition? No, I have a question. Okay. We do have a motion on the floor. Come on up.
My name is Linda Carter, and I have lived in the Chattanooga area for all of my life. I'm just saying, first of all, the Frasers are great neighbors. Chad did a great job of working on his house on Chattanooga. First of all, on the sign, it says street closure, abandonment. So the neighbors are calling and ask what street is going to be closed that's on the sign. So that's my question.
Okay.
Because according to that, according to the paperwork that you mailed the neighborhood association, they didn't have anything about. So they want to know what street is going to be closed. Is it Archer Knob or is it going to be Vine Street?
We'll take a look at this up here on the screen. That area in yellow
Okay,
is what the applicant is requesting closure for.
okay, that's Vine Street on one side.
Yeah.
And the other side is Archer Knob.
It's
Yeah.
beside the little red structure. It's not actually, it's not really right away. It used to be the old belt line for the old trolley that used to go around. So it's not actually street right away. It's property that,
The
used-
railroad used, because I used to live in that area.
yes,
And the trains used to go through there.
correct.
And trains went through there and they would come back through there. And the house that sits on that corner right there has been abandoned for a number of years.
Yeah,
And also, it is definitely right there.
yep,
and-
it's right there.
Okay, so what there, no, are you gonna close Archer Knob Street?
No, it's,
Vine
we're not recommending, neither Vine or Orchard Knob are being closed. They will remain open. This is that little property right there that runs between Orchard Knob and Vine.
Okay, so you put it on the sign. So the neighbors came to call me because I'm the neighborhood president. So maybe you all need to communicate a little bit better because I don't need 20 calls and then go down there and you don't, they're not there at the planning commission to answer questions. Because they are good neighbors. I have nothing. And I think it would be, if he fixed that building up the way he did his home, it's gonna be beautiful in our community and an asset. But I just want some clarification on that.
Yeah, it's that piece of strip of grass there. No road closure. It was right away, but it's not a road. It's
And
right
it will
away.
remain our R1 zone.
Correct. We're not rezoning. It's RN16, I think it is, or 5. It's RN15. So it's residential. He can't use anything but for residential unless he goes through a rezoning.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you all
Thank you,
answering
ma'am.
my
And
question.
thank you for
clarifying.
serving your neighborhood in the capacity of neighborhood president and fielding all 25 of those phone calls. We have a motion to approve. Can I get a second?
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is a resolution to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38, the Chattanooga zoning regulations to amend various sections in the new Chapter 38 Chattanooga zoning regulations adopted by ordinance number 14137 on July 23rd, 2024. Is there any opposition present? Mr. Schultz?
Sure, there's several cleanup things, housekeeping, if you will, that we've been making, as you've seen this every month. First one is we're clarifying in form-based code when required perimeter planning is required. It used to say 4 to 9 parking spaces, actually should say 4 to 19. So we'll go back into clarifying that. We're adding crematory as a standalone use in the CN and CC and CR zones. Right now, they have to be part of a funeral home. If you're doing a standalone, that's not allowed. So we've had several requests for standalone crematoriums. We're adding that as a use. One of the other things we've changed was the new zoning code. If you're outside the urban overlay, you were limited to a maximum of 4 attached units in the zone, where before, if you're doing townhomes, there was up to 12. So some folks have got caught in the rezoning through a new equivalency zone map. They had plans to do more than 4 attached. The new zoning code doesn't allow that. So we're going back in to amend that to say you still have to have 4 attached, except for those properties that were zoned for townhouses prior to the adoption of the new zoning code in 2024. We've done that past several months, so this is cleaning up that. We're adding a new
Can you
definition.
answer a quick question? in
Sure.
regards to that? So then that means any new time that zone is used?
Any new townhomes going forward today are limited to 4. If you were previously zoned for townhomes prior to 2024, you can do up to 12 connected
I do have,
per massing.
I think that, so that's, if you're in the middle here, you get to go back to what you could do before, correct?
Correct.
But if you're applying new, but
New.
that's- I do want to say, if I remember correctly, part of this was, what I remember was if you could do it now, you will be able to do it going forward.
Some folks stated that.
Yeah, well, that's what I remember what we
I think the
voted on.
secretary of the planning commission
Yes,
said that.
that was stated, and we've caught several things that has not been true, and so we're cleaning that up to say, if you were previously zoned for a townhouse zone that allowed up to 12, you can still do that. But you had to be zoned prior to 2024 as that zone. Somebody coming in today has to meet the current codes.
Yeah, that's my issue, I think, because I think when we passed when we changed the zoning, I thought we said anything that you could do, right? I mean, if you're, so what, guess I'm.
So you're talking about your property overall in Stanford Gap?
No, I'm just,
Somebody do.
I know I'm covered there. I'm not
Yeah.
asking about me. I'm going forward. If you had a piece of property and you brought it to you today,
Mhm.
and I said, I want to get it zoned for townhouses, you're telling me that I could do 4 attached maximum? Or
Correct. Because you're choosing to go forward now, the new zoning case, meeting the current zoning.
Right.
If you were zoned prior to that, 2024,
you could do what you could do before.
yes.
Yeah,
Which
I
is up
guess
to
the way
12.
I took it, though, I guess what I was thinking when we passed the zoning was it's not changing, because I guess if I was going for a zoning, I could apply for 6 to 12, and now I can't. Or
Correct.
no one can. Okay.
Well, the statement that was stated that nothing was going to change was incorrect, because
Okay.
things have happened, and it's not been true. And so when we're caught in the middle, because that's been stated, and people remember that for some reason.
I remember really
Yeah,
well.
a lot of people
for
remember
sure,
that.
yeah.
And so we're trying to correct that. And what's weird, we're going back to the old zone for the most part in some cases.
Okay.
So yeah, this is correcting those situations that have been zoned, say RTZ in the past. Did that answer everything?
So outside the urban overlay zone, townhomes can only be built in blocks of 4 or
Correct.
less.
And that's the way it is now. But there's some people who were rezoned prior to 2024 that had the ability to do up to 12, didn't pull building permits by the deadline, and they're caught now in a pickle. And so a lot of these.
Sure. So addressing this addresses those
Correct.
issues. Thank you.
It's part of Plan Chattanooga too. So it's where we kept pulling this from. So. Okay. We're adding a new definition of what crematorium is. We're also adding in some standards for crematorium. The applicant must have an approved permit from Hamilton County Air Pollution, which is what we had in the past, prior to submitting for a permit for the official permit. Then it said the crematorium must be screened. We're also reducing the parking for crematoriums from 1 spaces per over 500 square feet. I think now it's 1,000, something like that. I can't remember. It's extremely high, so we're changing that. We're cleaning up or adding some clarity on agreements for off-site parking, that you have to have recorded easements in place before Transportation Department will approve off-site parking. We're doing shared parking. And we're cleaning up the language on buffer yards and setbacks. That's a request to Land Development Office. And then one thing that we realized early on during the sign code changes, there were some issues about nonconformities with signage. And when at City Council, the nonconforming language actually got removed from the zoning code, and it shouldn't have been for regular uses. So we're putting that back in, which is 100 days. So we're just adding the last thing, putting that back in, which mistakenly got deleted at City Council. So those are the amendments we're making this month.
I got one more question here. I'm sorry to get off. I'm trying to get past this, but I'm having a hard time. So if our goal in the city particularly is more density, what is the reasoning behind limiting grouping of townhouses to 4 instead of 6 and 12?
It's the massing and our plans. Our plan Chattanooga, our plan, what's the other plan out there? East Brainerd plans, they recommend the massing to control townhomes to match what you'd see in an existing single family.
Okay.
Well, that only applies to a certain zone, right? I mean, there would be zones available to a townhome developer that wanted to build blocks of townhomes in excess of 4.
I think so, off the top of my head. Yeah, this is only that certain zones allows. It's like TRN3, from what I remember. All the zones have those massing controls. Emily can check for me, but yeah, so what the problem has been is where people were zoned RTZ in the past. Like in 2023, if you never pulled building permits, you just sit there with a vacant piece of property, then we equivalency mapped it to the new zones. Well, you have to meet the new standards because certain statements were made You cannot do that. You have to have 4 attached units now. So we're trying to correct that by going back in and saying, well, if you were zoned prior to that, you can now have what you previously had. It's just the RN2 and TRN2 zone and RN2 zone this applies to. Any other zones?
Ben, did you want to say something?
Is there a reason why TRN3 wouldn't also be allowed to go to 6? I know TRN2 is a specific one.
Can you come up to the microphone?
I get outside of the keeping your rights at RTZ, but it seems like there's a specific reference that applies to TRN2 that you can go to 6, but TRN3 is not noted. But in theory, it's a more dense, although the setbacks are the same option.
So townhome developments in the R2 and TRN2 zones are limited to a max of 6 units. So you can do up to 6 in those zones. Townhouses outside the urban overlay zone are limited to a max of 4. So inside, you can do 6. Outside the suburban area, you're held to 4 unless you're previously zoned RTZ or something prior to 2024.
But if you're TRN3, you're also 4.
Outside the urban overlay.
But you could do 6 if it's TRN2.
Inside. the
Only
urban overlay.
inside.
Inside. Anything outside the urban overlay, regardless of zone, is 4.
4 no matter what.
No matter what.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that help you, Barry? You still look confused a little bit.
Yeah, Mr. Anderson.
So I know we talked about this, but it's been a couple of months and there have been things since then. Is there a zone that would allow greater massing in, say, already dense, heavily developed areas where it would make more sense? I'm thinking about Gun Barrel Road, eventually, something on the Northgate Mall property, something like that, that quite obviously is a very dense, heavy commercial area. Is there any zone that would allow massing? Those are both outside the urban overlay, but incredibly dense and built up. Is there any zone outside the urban overlay that would accommodate a massing of 4 than more townhome units?
The only thing I can think of right now off the top of my head, Emily mentions HPRs. Other than that, the way it's reading here, it says townhome developments. It doesn't mention the zone. It just says anything outside the urban overlay is limited to max of 4. So if you had a CMU1 zone, I think you're still held to 4.
So
okay.
I just know we've built 2 projects in the last 4 years that are, really, really dense, in very dense areas. Yeah, one of them at a mall. And, was just trying to think through how that would be done today.
I think we could take a look at it. So the part of this came from the East Brainerd area plan, which was primarily single-family residential detached, the area around in East Brainerd was. And so coming out of that plan process was trying to incorporate townhomes, but the massing of this. So the idea is you wouldn't have like full urban development, townhomes wouldn't be in that form. So the idea was to limit the massing, that a 4-unit structure, I think we talked about as a 5 units, a 4-unit structure, that structure massing is easier to incorporate in a suburban area. But if we have a huge gap and it says, and it's meaning in a regional commercial center, you can only have 4 units, but you can have, Abertall Hotel or apartments, we probably need to look at that again. So we can take a look at that.
I think also while you're looking at it, look at the location of those townhomes, because massing is only relevant to the city where it's on the edges. I mean, if a developer has, like the old Cigna site, and they're in the middle of that development with massing that RPA doesn't like, what difference does it make? I'm not saying that it doesn't matter whether you like things or don't like them, but it's kind of up to the developer if it's in the interior of the development.
We as staff had the same discussion that really if it's interior to the development and is not visible from the perimeter, and it meets the density calculation, doesn't matter as much, right? If it's 6
Right.
units, 7 units, if it's not, because you're not worrying about compatibility to the interior. So we
Sure.
can take another look at it. I think too, it's not, there is another place where massing is mentioned, so we probably just need to clean it up and make sure by adding one item in, we didn't confuse it. So we can take another look at it and come back next month with at least a discussion or kind of where we are.
And that's why we're using the land use plan for guidance too. It's not whether we like it or not. It's like the plan through the public process. has-
Well, and I guess
I know what you're
one
saying. I
step
know.
further, even if the community doesn't like
That's true,
it.
yeah,
I mean, okay,
yeah.
they don't have to live there.
Well, they
You
don't,
know?
there's, I was gonna say, there's, in addition to the areas you're talking about, I'm doing one right now that you'd have to find it with a treasure map. There's no, you're not gonna see it. No one can see it. You have to be in it to even know what it is. You know, I don't know the language you have to, but I'd like, if you're gonna clean it up, I'd like you to look at that. Just-
Yeah, well, Emily had a good suggestion too, like on the perimeter. I think we had talked about perimeter limiting, but once you get into the development, yeah.
We can bring some items back for discussion next month and get feedback.
Can I ask one more question about what it means to discontinue the use of a sign? Because I don't know how you have a sign and then not use it.
I think that language was developed by the attorney's office regarding signage.
It's also, I think, addressing if there's a freestanding sign that's been still standing up, but the business has been vacant for a long time, still advertising that business. So then it's a discontinued use of the sign because the business is no longer there. So it's a way to also regulate signs that may be in disrepair and could fall into the right of way and be a safety hazard.
Yeah, I just don't know how that language works, how ultimately we would ever, it just doesn't seem like that. If attorneys wrote it, more power to them, but I don't know how you discontinue the use of a sign. Now, I think what you said makes more sense, is that if the operating business that was using the sign discontinues, you know, I don't know. I just feel like that's pretty vague.
Well, I would say where this got really confusing, the non-conformity sign language is in the sign code. When the zoning code was going through, we had some off-premise sign people sort of muddled the process up a little bit, a nice way to put it. And that's why that section got deleted accidentally. So we're putting it back in the way it was originally written.
Okay. Sir, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, please. Gary O'Brien with Labella Associates, Market Street, here downtown. Going back to the previous item, we have a particular project that's caught in this very scenario. That we got, it was approved, LDP zoning for, we've got 31 total units. There are 5, I do my math right, 5 4-unit buildings. There's 1 5-unit building and 1 6-unit building. It was approved, preliminary plat was approved. We started construction on all the infrastructure, the road, the drive, the utilities. And we, construction was going on through the spring, came to the June 18th, the grace period ended. We had not been able to pull building permits yet because we didn't have infrastructure completed. So suddenly we've got a site that we've done site work for, but we can't build the buildings that we wanted to build. So we've fallen into the timing of this is, perfect storm against us. So that's why I'm here to kind of monitor how this goes, and would encourage you to, please get this resolved as quickly as possible. We've got a client that's, waiting to close and obviously start construction, and it's money and time. And so I would ask that you not defer it, not put it off a month. But again, that's my request.
Yeah, we're not talking about pushing it.
Okay, well, I just wanted to speak that just so you guys knew that, there are people that are affected.
Yes. Thank you.
you.
What's the will of the commission in regards to this resolution? We have a motion to approve and it has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any staff updates?
No, sir, I
No
don't have
staff
it.
updates.
Karen does.
We do have a time on the agenda for public comment on non-agenda items. Is there any?
Hello? Oh, it's on. Thank you, sir. Josh Branham, 2963 Amnacoa Highway, Governmental Affairs Director for Greater Chattanooga Realtors. I've had the opportunity to work with plenty of you all before, but just in case if I haven't met you all, I serve as Governmental Affairs Director, like I mentioned, but also if our association can ever be of service as far as housing statistics, if you're looking for metrics on median sales price for a particular zip code or area. Usually I'm watching you guys on the live stream, but I wanted to come down here and see the beautiful courtroom on a Monday instead of a Wednesday morning. So I'm free to, speak with anyone who might need us here, any information, but thank you all for all your service and for what you do. Thank you.
Well, before you step away, I think
Yes, sir.
it's not every day that somebody comes and offers to help. So I think we'd be remiss if we didn't take you up on it.
Sure.
Okay,
well, now here's the thing. I probably don't know it off the top of my head.
Well,
We
sure,
actually cover
sure.
5
So
counties.
we do this meeting again next month
Yes, sir.
and the next month and the next month.
Oh, yeah.
But we had some discussion over lunch about, maybe a change to our agenda in regards to an opportunity to discuss some of the issues that, we discuss over lunch in regards to development patterns that we're seeing, the needs we're seeing in our county and those sorts of things. And one of the most pressing, we feel, is housing and the shortage of it and the need for it. And so, some high level statistics in regards to the number of people that are moving to Hamilton County that you, I'm sure, can easily see. The pent up demand that we do have for housing, the median age of a home buyer. I think we've had some discussions of that recently here, trying to get a handle on that and talk through the implications of that. So I'd love for you to maybe plan on coming to next month's meeting and just opening us with maybe just give you 5 to 7 minutes to just brief the Planning Commission on, realtors' perspective in regards to housing and what you're seeing. I think that would be really helpful for
Sure,
us.
we would be happy.
And it'd be helpful for the public to hear those comments at the same time, because we get a lot of that information, coming to us just professionally because of the work we do. But it'd be great for you to plan on being here next month. Is there anything that I didn't just rattle off that would be helpful to hear? I
Mr.
think
Chairman,
the median home price would be helpful. And then y'all know you know how many homes are homeowners and how many are renters, right? We have that data already.
I don't know.
Because Chris was mentioning that earlier, and he was
I don't know.
mentioning that we're now over 50% of the city is renters.
We got that from our Economic Development Department 2 weeks ago. It was 47 last I saw a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, and now it just crept over 50. And maybe Councilwoman Burrs remembers.
That's 60%. So it depends on where you live too.
Yeah, it's just over half in the city. Just over half of city residents are renters now.
Mr. Chairman, would you like Josh, in the meeting, public's not here hardly. Would you like him to be first on the agenda
Yeah,
next
first on
next
the
week?
agenda.
I mean,
Yeah.
next month?
Yeah.
Sounds great. I also do have I presented to, I'll have data for City of Chattanooga and then also Hamilton County. A few weeks ago, I did present, it was a 20-year retrospective for just Hamilton County. But I do have that data available also for the City of Chattanooga, where it looks at housing inventory and where it's fluctuated over the past 20 years. And obviously things like the median sales price and days on market. But Chairman, if it's okay with you, when we get finished, I'll email both of those to you and then you can distribute how you would like. And then I can myself, I actually do not have my real estate license. None of us on staff at Greater Chattanooga Realtors have a real estate license. But we do have representatives from our Governmental Affairs Committee who can also come. Maybe our chairperson, who's Sabrina Smedley, she may be able to speak more boots on the ground, kind of a perspective about what may happen which they may be seeing as well. since
What
she's
do
part of
you
our
think,
leadership.
just off the top of your head, knowing what you know, what's the biggest impediment to home ownership today?
I would say that they're probably, and I'm just speaking freely from my own knowledge here. I'm not speaking on their behalf, but seeing lack of inventory, how that contributes to the rise in the list price of properties in our area. It's a issue that, you can't have one without the other. And that's the issue that I believe is predominantly impacting. We actually had this past Friday, we had the VP of economics for our National Association of Realtors, Dr. Jessica Lautz, come in and actually say what was surprising to her, the second biggest impediment to home ownership is student loans. That was from their survey from a national perspective.
Well, that's helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being
and
here.
I'll send you that data as well.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Any other public comment on non-agenda items? Can I get approval of the Planning Commission minutes of July 14th, 2025? We got a motion. It has been seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Chauncey. I'm sorry, Mr. Payne. Did we figure out?
Like Sabrina will come down and talk.
Yeah, that's fine. That's